Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the August Investor Outlook, how to grow and manage your portfolio as a busy investor. So great to have everyone here. Already 270 live, which is absolutely epic. Let us know in the chat where you're coming in from. Good afternoon for all of our US friends. Good morning for those in Australia, very early in Australia. Welcome, everyone. Jump in the chat if you can. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Today's going to be absolutely epic with so much information and insights for you all, which I'm super pumped to get into. We might start to bring up our slides again, Josh. Okay, David from Colorado, Richard from Dallas, amazing. Eric from Florida, Rain from the Gold Coast, Gary from Indiana, John from Washington. G'day, Logan from Bristol. Awesome. We've got people from all around the world, which is absolutely epic. Already 300 jumping on today. We are going to get into so much content today, folks. We have 3 hours of power, so much insights, so much content. We're in the middle of a bull market. We want to get you guys all ramped up and ready to rumble for this crypto cycle. We got Andrew from Christchurch, Melbourne, California, Oregon, amazing. North Dakota, Iowa, Adelaide, Albury, Portugal. A little bit of everywhere. Amazing. Okay, Rizwan from Perth, very early over in Perth. Fantastic. I know everyone is super busy and your time is very, very valuable. So thank you all for joining. You are not going to be today is going to be absolutely epic, if I'm going to be honest. We've got so much new content which we want to share with all of you, especially while the market's pumping. And we know that a lot of you are busy, you're smart. Just by being here, you're already ahead of the crowd. So we're really excited to jump in today. We've spent a lot of time putting this presentation together. We do these every single month to make sure it's as valuable as it can be for all of you because we know you're super busy. So we want to make sure we get everything out for you. Use the chat throughout the session. For all of you that are on the call here live today, you're going to get some bonus PDFs and exclusive insights and access that we're going to share with you just in a second. You can use the chat whenever you need. Some of our team are in the chat today, which I'll introduce you to in a second. So you can ask us questions. We're going to have a full question and answer session at the end with our access to our analysts. So make sure you use the chat. G'day, Vin, Jason, Reese, Clay from Texas. Wow, we have people from absolutely everywhere, which is awesome. I might bring up San really quickly. San is our client success manager. How are you, San?
Good. Hi, everyone.
So San just recently joined us as our client success manager. So San will be in the chat if anyone needs some help today. He's also from New Zealand. Got a few Kiwis in the room. So thank you so much, man. So San will be in the chat if you guys need any help with anything throughout today. But yeah, welcome aboard, mate.
Yeah, good to see everyone here and looking forward to meeting some of you inside Collective Shift.
Pleasure, mate. Thanks so much. Cheers. And we'll also bring up Reese as well, who's also interstate or international at the moment. We'll bring up Reese. How are you, man?
Hey guys, so it'll be myself that you'll be talking to, when you sign up at some point throughout the next week or so. Really looking forward to chatting with you. Questions, queries, I'll be here to answer it. But yeah, very exciting times going global. Cannot wait. So yeah, looking forward to it. Anything you need in the chat, feel free to post.
Thank you so much, Reese. So Reese is one of our member growth leads. So if you need any help throughout today's session, make sure you jump in the chat. And also, if you want to discuss anything about how you can work with us later on, you'll be chatting to Reese. We've also got Alice in the chat as well. Alice will be helping with anything that you guys need as well. Thank you, Alice. Okay. We also have a couple of amazing speakers today. I'm going to bring up Matt onto the stage as well. Matt is our Director of Research at Collective Shift. He leads our analyst team. He's been full-time in crypto since 2017. Absolutely nailed the Solana trade at $22. Matt is the master at fundamental analysis and has found all of our members and also myself some great entry points. How are you, Matt?
Very well, thanks, Ben, and looking forward to getting into it over the next few hours. And of course, I think we have some Q&A at the very end today. But before then, a very good market update for you, and of course, getting into some sell strategy with Simon as well.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Matt. So Matt's going to be jumping on in just a second with Simon to talk through the market. Also going to bring up Simon, our senior research analyst. Just like Matt nailed Solana. Simon, you're in 4K today, mate. You nailed the sui trade. Fantastic.
Yeah, look, being full-time crypto and analyzing it, we get to be early on some things. So yeah, Sui was a great trade for us and still something I think is a great trade. And I guess we're going to share some of those insights and some altcoins we think are good and just a general market update. I think it's going to be super valuable.
No, it's going to be awesome, mate. So we're going to bring you on very, very soon. Thank you, Simon. So Simon's going to jump on with Matt very shortly to talk about the market. And also Travis will be jumping on soon as well. He's going to be talking through the investor operating systems. He's our head of growth at Collective Shift, also from Florida for those folks that are from Florida in the room today. He's going to walk through the investor psychology and how to actually get the most out of a bull market, because most people don't actually realize it's actually mainly the head noise and things you're going to fight with the mental demons when the market's really growing on how to take profits. Most people do not take profits because they get too greedy and too euphoric and too excited. So Travis is going to be jumping on and talking through that today. Now, who is in the room? There's already 371 of you in the room today. There's over 1,500 registered attendees today, which is absolutely epic. Most of you are already managing $100,000 plus in your crypto, or you're looking to deploy more than $100,000. Today's content is really beefed up to help those that are growing a large crypto portfolio. These are the common goals we saw. All right. You want to grow your crypto wealth. You want to achieve financial and time freedom, and you do not want to miss out on this bull market opportunity. We know the bull market's moving. We know a lot of you want to grow your wealth. Some of you have been through crypto for a long time, and maybe you didn't take enough profits. Some of you, this is your first bull market, and you really want to optimize and make the most of it. This is so common for so many people, all right? And we know the biggest problems a lot of you face is that you're time poor, you're busy. There's a lack of time you have in your life with your business, your career, your family. You have a lack of knowledge and conflicting information. There's so many people out there. There's so many influencers. There's so many courses. There's so many people saying different things about crypto. We understand that. Today, I'll break it down and really help you find clarity amongst the noise. How to build a portfolio construction. So many of you are chasing different altcoins. You end up with so many things in your portfolio. You have no idea what they actually do. And you also have a fear of making another mistake. All right. So if that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Afternoon, Chad. Hey, Russell. Hey, Keith. Welcome, everyone. So I want to just quickly start in the Q&A just to get a feeling for who's in the room today. If you could put in the chat for those of you who are jumping on live in the Collective Shift website, be honest, all right? Who here has a decent sized portfolio? So who's actually grown a decent sized crypto portfolio, but you feel like you're still guessing most of the time? Say just a yes if you're in the chat, if you're guessing, feels like you're guessing most of the time. Say no if you've got it absolutely spot on and dialed in and you're confident. I'd love to just sort of know who still doesn't really have that strategy yet and feel as though they're just sort of shooting from the hip. Yeah, Jake, yes, cool. Chad, Russell, great. Okay, Michael's, yep. Okay, what about who's felt unsure about when to take profits or afraid of missing the top? Vin, you're good, mate. You're not guessing. Fantastic. Well, hopefully you can share some insights back to us today. That'd be great. Who's felt unsure about taking profits? Jason, no, but guessing most of the time. Yep. Alex, third cycle for still unsure. Great. Jaro, no guessing. Russell, yep. Clint, yes. Okay, cool. That's good. Good to know. Who's round tripped as well? Like who's actually gone through a full bull market and not taken any profits? That I'm putting my hand up there when I first started 9 years ago. Who's round tripped? So who's gone through a full cycle and not taking profits off the top? Jason, afraid of missing the top. Jason, yes. Alex, yes. Chad, that's exactly what stacked me last bull market. Yep. Understand, man. David, yes, I am. That was me. Cool. Okay, that's good. Who feels like they don't have enough time or you're too busy to be on top of crypto with everything else going on? And that's, to be honest, like, we're a growing company. We've got nearly 17 employees now trying to stay on top of crypto. It's absolutely bananas. It's moving faster than ever. How about you guys? Sean, me, yep. Tom, yes. Unfortunately, yes. Greg, yes. David, yep. Yeah, cool. Okay, that's good. Gary, yep, fantastic. Who feels overwhelmed just by crypto and is flying blind with no real strategy? Again, this is when I first started 9 years ago. Didn't have a real strategy. Was just following influencers online, trying to figure out what the hell was going on. Had no real idea. Ben, hard to filter noise. I know, mate. There's so much stuff and noise out there with influencers. Time pool resonates for you, Jake. Great. Sean, me. Yep. Troy, absolutely. Renee. Okay, cool. Yep. Great. And the last question I want to hear from you guys, because it's just interesting to hear, because I've been doing this now for 9 years. We work with thousands of clients across the world. What do you think is the biggest factor in crypto success? Do you think it's the person or the process? If you think about who actually makes money in crypto, and there's not many of them, people pretend to, do you think it's the person or do you think it's the process? What's the factor in success? Clint, process. Mike, process. Process, Chad. Yep. Sean, process. David, process. Fantastic. Yep. Yep. Alex, buy low, sell high. 100%, mate. Process, fantastic. You're bang on. Process is definitely right. All right. I've been able to help my mum make a bunch of money in crypto. Guess what? She has no idea about crypto. Okay. It's the process. So if any of these hit home today, you are 100% in the right place. And we're going to cover all of this today to help you all. And my goal for you today is really walk away with a lot of confidence on where we are in the market, have clarity. If you've got confusion or knowledge or just uncertainty, we want to give you confidence and clarity and really unlock that true potential of what crypto can do through education and not just influencers pumping their own bags like they normally do on YouTube. All right. And if nothing else, I really, and the team and I just genuinely want to help you make money today. All right. You're going to walk away with a lot of tactics and insights to help you make money that's going to be completely for free. Okay. Now, what I need from you, though, to actually implement these things is I want you to implement the 7-step strategy process. This is the Collective Shift crypto 7-step strategy that we've worked on over the last 9 years. I'm going to get the team to just share those links in the chat. And as well as a bonus for all of you for showing up live today, you're also going to get our sell strategy PDF. All right. This is something that we only give away to our clients. And we're going to give that away completely for free for all of you for showing up live in the actual live stream of the people that have got a ticket. If you're on Twitter or if you're on YouTube, unfortunately, you won't get this. I'll just make sure the team sends this only to the people in the website chat. So please download that. No worries, Logan. It's going to go through the 7 steps. I'm actually going to walk you through these 7 steps today. So download it, get ready. I'm going to walk you through that later today. And as well, Matt and Simon are going to help you with your sell strategy. So these are documents that you can actually utilize and take help because we want all of you to make sure you crush this cycle. Okay. I want you to take action. Don't be the person we see later this year, early next year that has round tripped another bull market. This bull market will come and go. All right. We want you to make sure you are implementing the things that we share with you today. I really want you to see the next 3 hours really could change everything. We've been doing this for 9 years. We're one of the world's leading crypto research and insights companies. And we're going to share with you the insights and frameworks to actually help you grow your portfolio and really visualize you coming off the back of this bull market, actually making money. All right. Do we have a deal? Does that sound good? Logan, thank you. Fantastic. Those links are going in the chat. So hopefully you can all access those. We're all ready to rumble. 440 people live, which is absolutely epic. Sean's ready to go. Amazing. Cool. Let's get into it. Eric, let's rock and roll. Right. Okay. Before I get into the content and give you all the insights to help you crush this cycle, before the success, before we showed up today, the last 9 years, I was just a regular kid from Tasmania. For those that know that place in Australia, small island just below Melbourne. I shared a bunk bed with my brother up until 8 years ago. I wasn't top of my class, didn't have family money, no finance degree. But ultimately, I really wanted to build financial freedom for myself and my family. And that word gets thrown around a lot online and people selling the dream of becoming financially free. Well, it's taken me a long time to actually realize what that is. And my parents still rent, and I'm in the process of being able to buy them a house right now. All right. But it took me a long time to understand that because school never taught us how money works. They don't teach you how savings work. They don't teach you how inflation works. Who here is seeing the rise of inflation, all right, and know that it's hard to actually grow their capital unless you're in investments? The banks get bailouts when they fail and you get told to budget, all right? It's absolutely ridiculous. And I thought, fuck this, I'm not playing this game. I really wanted to learn and see how I could grow my wealth. And I found Bitcoin. I found Bitcoin literally 9 years ago and understood crypto. And I went all in. That was 9 years ago. I was 17 at the time. Here's a photo of me, a little bit chubbier than where I am today. And I quit school, sold my business that I'd started when I was younger, took every dollar I had and rolled it into Bitcoin and crypto. All right. Ethereum was $80 at the time. Here's where I bought 98 back in the day. Bitcoin was in the low thousands and everyone thought I was insane. No one knew what I was talking about. No one knew about Bitcoin, and everyone thought I was crazy. And I got in early. I was able to buy a lot and accumulate a lot at 17, 18 years old, but I did not have a sell strategy. All right. I had no plan, no guidance, no idea what I was doing. And like so many other people, round trip the entire portfolio. All right. And that was the first real like entry point to crypto when I realized that, like so many others, you round trip your crypto profits when you don't have a plan. All right. And I actually lost over $120,000 on a single trade, following influencers, not knowing what I was doing, got into a project and sold out on it way too early and lost out on a lot of money and also just following poor advice online. Nicholas, do you need to have a subscription to gain this free content? No, you just need to grab a ticket for the live event, mate. So you need to jump into the live masterclass page. I'll get the team to send you the link if you want to get access to that. Now, what happened then at 17 years old or 18 years old when I made all that money and then lost it all? It crushed me, but it actually changed me. And that's when I got CRS. I teamed up with Matt, who you just met before, who's about to jump on soon and talk about the market and the insights, the altcoins and everything we're looking at. He's our now director of research. And we started building a system based on strategy, not shooting from the hip. All right. Real strategy to talk about and think about your crypto portfolio, not from just some speculating, gambling play. All right. And where I made most of my money in the last cycle was in the metaverse run before it hit. And I sold and made life-changing amounts of money. All right. Hopefully you can see this. Maybe we can make that full screen if you can, Josh. This is literally a screenshot of my bank account, just so you know I'm not some guru online just talking nonsense. This is where back in 2021 on the left-hand side, when I was taking profits out using my dollar cost averaging sell strategy, taking $50,000 chunks out at a time. All right. And the right-hand side's a screenshot of my bank account, literally from the other day. All right. I don't show that to show off, but just to generally show you guys that this is legit. All right. And we're not just some other guru in his bedroom putting out just crappy content. All right. It wasn't luck. It was hype. Sorry. It wasn't luck. It wasn't hype. It was actually strategy and a process, but I couldn't do it alone. All right. I'm not the smartest guy. I needed a team. Crypto moves fast and I needed an edge because markets, there's winners and losers. All right. And when you buy, someone's selling, and when you're selling, someone's buying. And to get that advantage, we needed that team and we needed those insights. And once I started winning, we started to prove that it worked and we started sharing this process publicly. Other people started following and they made money too. Indigo was one of our first clients in the US. She was one of our first members. She doubled her portfolio in the first few weeks from working with us. She was a busy mum. She was trying to watch all the content on YouTube, getting home from work and trying to consume all this sort of stuff. All right. And it was just absolutely crazy. Couldn't do it. All right. So then I started sharing those frameworks online. I did a TEDx talk and things grew really quickly. You can search that online if you want. Just search Ben Simpson and crypto. And I started to share these insights and help other people learn about this space and how to invest. And then the results started to pile in. And that was the start of Collective Shift, which is our crypto research company, one of the world's leading platforms now for investors that are wanting to grow their wealth in a trusted way. And we hired researchers, analysts, data people. And today I spend over $200,000 a month on our team. All right. And you're getting access to that today for free for some of the research and insights we're going to share, which is absolutely epic. All right. So you're going to get so much value today in today's session. Here's just some of the team. The team's fastly growing across the US, across Australia, across the world. We've got clients all around the world. And we started really scaling globally. And this is the platform that I wish I had when I first started. On-chain data, fundamentals, and exit strategies. This stuff is not taught on YouTube. Influencers teach you technical analysis. They teach you charts and all these squiggly lines and telling you what you should buy. And you end up with a bunch of altcoins that are down. All right. And that is not an edge. We built the team, we built the process, we built the system through no guessing, no hype, just what works. And I wanted to build a company that was based on pure trust and transparency. No shills, no fake influencers, no paid promotion. Just full trust and transparency. And the entire Collective Shift company adheres by our cryptocurrency holdings disclosure policy. You can actually jump on our website and see every single week, every single token our entire team holds for free. And the reason we do that is it's part of our mission to be the most trusted and transparent source for people wanting to learn about crypto. All right, so you can go over and check that out. All right, we wanted to build a company that was based on results and aligned incentives. And you can check out our Trustpilot, you can check out our success stories. And if the way we work is if our clients make money, we make money. All right. Do you see how that's a win-win? All right. With no affiliate links, no paid promotion, no sponsorships. We only make money when our clients make money. That is not what's done in crypto at all. No one does this. And I'm grateful to become a multimillionaire since the age of 24. And now I'm able to help my family, my friends, our employees, our clients all grow their wealth together. And I travel the world, host events like this. This is my crypto podcast, Ben and Bergs. We spoke in front of hundreds of people recently at one of the big conferences. And I help other people make money the right way. All right. Here's me winning one of the community leader awards in Sydney recently. This is my girlfriend where I won another award to try and help other people grow their crypto doing, the right way. And what a lot of influencers do is the completely opposite. They just sell you a bunch of shitty coins and make money off you, using their Bybit or trading link. All right. And I absolutely love doing it. I'm also a super competitive guy. I love sports. I hate losing and I want everyone to win. And if I can do this from starting in my bunk bed literally just a few years ago in Australia, then you can too. All right. So let's talk results. GM Nathan, welcome, mate. Over the last few years, we're about to get into the content, which is super exciting. So Matt and Simon are getting prepared. They're going to come on and talk about the altcoins we're jumping in on. And over the last few years, the insights that these guys are about to share with you has helped thousands of people across the world change their lives through crypto, right? Whether it be Bitcoin at the bottom, Matt shared that at 16,000, Solana at $22, Syrup recently did 1,000%, which is great. Pendle 2,500%. One of the meme5 projects, which I share 1,000%. I could genuinely live passively off crypto if I wanted to. Here's just the other day, back in July, I took out $70,000 to basically use to spend on my new house. Again, this is just to show all of you that what we do here is we teach the process and we help our clients win, because I've been burnt in the past too by influencers. I used to work for a YouTube influencer. All right, I lost a lot of money and I saw how a lot of people in crypto had the wrong incentives. And now some of our biggest clients in the world are the largest crypto companies in the world, all right, using like Coinbase, and also CoinSpot. This is one of the partnership announcements where we shared Coinbase actually partnered with us to help them with their research and insights for their clients, all right, in APAC. And we get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars of this research because of our edge. This is not technical analysis you're about to learn today. This is fundamental analysis, on-chain analysis, real insights that's going to help you get an unfair advantage. And this is just a small sample of people that have made results from us. $50,000 in a week, $110,000 from last cycle, $120,000 in profit, $45,000 in 2 weeks. These aren't whales. These are not crazy, super smart people. These are just everyday busy investors with their own life, career, and family in the process. All right. And the stuff we're about to share with you today, we charge thousands of dollars across universities. Here's nearly $4,000 we charged recently to a university. We get paid tens of thousands of dollars to speak on podcasts. This is directly from our profit and loss reporting. But what we ultimately care about, because where we get the most results, is from our clients. All right, now our clients pay us $15,000 to work with us directly. All right, and here's what happened. Or here's what happens when some of our clients that sign up follow the system that we built. All right, Ken made $50,000 in a week. He's been a Collective Shift member for 2 years, heading in the bull market with a plan and strategy. I'm going to share this plan and strategy with you today so you can take this on board. Chris paid off his house. Chris is a busy guy. He's got a family. He's a consultant. Paid off his house after we helped him with his sell strategy. The same sell strategy we're going to help you today to implement on your own, that was able to sell some Bitcoin, pay off his house, and now he's living debt-free. All right. Kieran as well. He's a busy dad, developer, needed a strategy to fix his portfolio. He didn't know what assets to buy, which ones to hold. That is what we're going to talk about today as well. He's up 2.5x since working with us. Peter talks about how the Collective Shift is the perfect service for any investor who wants hands-on tailored advice. All right. We're going to help you with your goal setting today. Jaden's third bull market, bag profits every bull run and make life-changing amounts of money since working with us. Again, going to share you those altcoins today. Jason was down 80% before working with us. Is now up 2.5x. All right. Really, really pumped to share with you these insights. So are you keen to see how we do this? Let me know in the chat. Nearly 500 live. Morning, Nathan, GM. Sean's ready. Eric's ready. Let's rock and roll. Amazing. You guys are keen and ready to see how this works. So pumped for you guys to see all this. We're going to get stuck into it in just a second. Chad's keen. Amazing, Chad. Brilliant. Ken's keen. Jason live. Yes, Jason Simpson. I'm saying your name live, mate. Clint. It's not one of those fake webinars where they just run a replay and they pretend it's live. Joe, yes. Tom, yes. Very keen. Clint's, yes. Let's go. Let's do this. Eduardo's keen. Joe, pumped up. Let's rock and roll. Okay. Well, everything is going to be covered today for you all. David, that's why you came, man. I'm excited for you. You're going to get some great insights. All right. Now, all of this I'm going to share with you today with our team. Alan's ready. Hubert's ready. Let's fucking go. Love it. But the biggest challenge that's going to get in your way, all right, is that you're busy, you're time poor, you're running a business, you have a family, you can't keep up, you don't have a clear exit strategy, you don't know what to buy or when to sell, you're overwhelmed by conflicting advice, you've already been burnt from paid groups. Maybe you've been in paid groups before, maybe you're a part of one and you're realizing they're just crap, all right? You're scared of making the wrong move again. You need a clearer plan for what platforms and projects to use. Maybe you're feeling like you've missed the boat already. Is it too late? And potentially, if some of you are like what I think you're like, maybe this is all relevant to you. All right. Maybe you don't have time. You don't have the confidence. You should have trusted your gut. You held too long last cycle. Your round trip. Your bags of altcoins. You don't even know what they do. You don't know what to hold. You don't know what to sell. You missed the top last time. You're scared you're going to do it again. You're stuck watching crappy YouTubers put out content every single day, hoping someone's right and hoping someone's going to give you what you need, and you don't know what to do. All right. If any of that sounds like you, you're in the right place today. So my goal is just to take you from busy, relying on scattered information from YouTubers, worried about missing the top, to give you a structured sales strategy, to understanding where to position your portfolio in the middle of this bull market, because we're in it right now. The market's moving. Crypto's moving. All right. This bull market is not going to last forever. We've probably got a few months left. All right. So we want to help you save time, get a proper sales strategy, and avoid round tripping and missing the top again. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that today with the same system we use for ourselves, because I'm 100% allocated into crypto, all right, and our clients as well. We're going to walk you through step-by-step the blueprint, that 7-step strategy process to help you build a multi-6-figure, 7-figure, and even 8-figure crypto portfolio, all right? Now, why do so few people actually win in crypto? There's literally unlimited amounts of information out there, unlimited. So much information out there. You go to YouTube, ChatGPT, you go to Google, you go to Twitter, go to podcasts. If there's so much information out there, why do so few people actually win? Well, because information's not enough. You can binge and consume as much as you want, but without a strategy and without actually understanding what's important for you, nothing matters. The strategy will collapse, all right? The process will collapse unless you've got a plan. You don't go and build a house without a plan. You don't go start a business without a plan. Don't go drive a car without knowing the destination. If you create a plan, lay a solid foundation, it'll be built perfectly to what you wanted. This is where most people fall down. They don't have a strategy, the no-sell plan. They're buying random shitty altcoins from influencers they don't know, all right? And they try and do it alone with limited time because you're busy with high stakes, all right? And the truth is, and a lot of you got this right, it's not about the person, it's about the process. The person is not the variable. All right, we've been able to help clients that are old, young, male, female, no matter anywhere in the world, high knowledge, no knowledge, time, no time. If you have the right process, you get the right results. All right. So if I and the team today give you the what, right, and the how to get there, but you don't have the why, you don't know why you're doing it, you don't have the potential, you'll still do nothing different. All right. And we really want you to win. So try and think about today. Why on earth are you showing up to this session? Maybe you've seen me online. Maybe you see our content online. Maybe you've never heard of me. Maybe you still don't know who this guy with glasses is on the screen. You're not even sure what you're doing. Right? Why are you here? What is it you're here for? All of you are here for a reason. You don't just register for these things without a reason. All right? What is it for you? Is it to try and retire early, try and reduce the amount of time you're at work, provide for your family, renovate the house, pay off the debt, get your kids through school? All right, win back the losses and prove to yourself or your partner you can actually do it. Take back control of your time and income, to follow a strategy that you can actually trust and not just crappy hype from influencers. Whatever your reason, all right, that's what we built today for, to try and help you make it all real, all right, as much as we can. Now, I want to be 100% honest with you, all right, and transparent, because it's our number one value of Collective Shift, to be 100% transparent about my why and our why. Why would we put weeks and weeks and weeks putting this masterclass together to give it all away completely for free? Well, I'm going to be honest, we're here to make money too. All right. We want to help you make money. But if we do that, we're also here to make money too. The market is moving. The bull market is in motion right now, and the opportunity is now. All right. And we really want you to know that we want you to action these insights and education so you don't miss this bull market again. Our business model is very, very simple. Before Matt and Simon come on and share these insights, I want you to understand this, how our business works. We charge a subscription fee for our research, coaching, mentorship, and the one-on-ones we do. And if our clients make money, you stay and we get paid, right? If our clients don't make money, they leave and we don't. All right. We don't do affiliates. We don't do paid promotions. We don't do shills. We are 100% independent. We are not like other companies in crypto. We are not influencers. We're not just a YouTube channel. We do not get paid to promote coins or products. We're 100% independent. We only make money if our clients succeed based on the value we deliver. If we help you win, we both win. That's the only way it works. So that's why we do these free masterclasses, to give you as much real actionable value as possible, so to help you capitalize on this cycle and not miss out. And then you go, oh, maybe these guys actually know what they're talking about. I've actually learned a lot. What else do they do? All right. And at the end, I'm going to share with you how we work with our clients. And it's completely optional. You do not have to listen to it. You don't have to join. In fact, we actually don't work with that many people. We're very selective on who we work with. And if it's a good fit, we're open to having a conversation. All right. But we're trying to help you with your crypto. All right. And we want to help you win. And at the very least, to not listen to these people online that are putting out crap, idiot content, to help you with your portfolio. And for those of you that go, wow, these guys actually know what they're talking about, I want to learn about what they do for their paid services, I'll share that at the end. All right. And we do have some really cool bonus exclusives today with our upcoming mastermind and strategy day coming up in Miami in a couple of months. We have some limited spots for that in-person day, which I'll be there with the team. We're going to share that at the end. All right. But it's only for those people that actually want to join beyond that. But that's not my goal. My goal right now is to help you over the next 2.5 hours, hear from the leading analysts from our team, getting the exact tools, strategies, and frameworks that we use to help you position to actually win. All right. And if it makes sense, we'll share with you that platinum membership at the end. It's absolutely not for everyone. In fact, it's probably for 1% of you here today. All right. Because we really want to make sure it's for the right fit. It's designed for investors to grow their capital, grow their portfolio through a proven system and save time. Right. You'll get coaching done for your research, frameworks. Everything we do today will help you one-on-one, and you'll hear from some of our platinum clients today. And those incredible bonuses we'll share with you at the end, only for all of you that jumped on today's call, which I'm excited. All right. So I'll share that later for you. Are you keen to see how we do this for our clients? I know Matt and Simon are ready to rumble. They've been putting this together. Reese is keen. We're at 500 in the chat. Amazing. You guys ready to rumble? Okay. We're going to show you. So what we're going to expect today, we're about to bring Matt and Simon on to talk about the altcoins. We're going to talk about a lot in a very short time frame. Our goal is to give you everything you need to succeed this cycle. It may feel overwhelming, but that's okay. What today is not, all right? Today is not about finding some secret altcoin that's going to 10x tomorrow. That is rubbish. That doesn't exist. If you might walk away with something that's going to be worth 6 or 7 figures over the next 12 to 24 months, there's no false promises, no hype, just a strategy to help you not round trip. If you're here for the next latest meme coin, if you're here to turn $1,000 into $100,000, if you're here to just get, crazy speculative gambling stuff, literally leave right now, hit the end stream, say goodbye, leave the door. This is not for you. We're generally for people that are wanting to build their wealth the right way through crypto and not for hype and speculation. All right. And we've brought together the best who built portfolios and helped thousands of people that are investing full time today. So what are we going to cover? We're going to cover the step-by-step portfolio strategy to know exactly how to build your portfolio, the best blueprint in the world you can build. But if your builders are crap, the house falls down. All right. So that's where most portfolios are today. No plan, no edge, just chaos. Matt and Simon are about to share their research-backed, curated market insights to skip the noise and see how we just invested in Syrup and Solana early. All right. Syrup recently did a 10x, which I took profits on, backed by research. We're going to talk through the bulletproof exit plan. And that PDF is in the chat, so all of you have access to that are in this session today to walk you through how to build a sell strategy without guessing, how to grow your portfolio without being glued to the charts. This is not for traders. No, there's nothing like this. This is not about spending more time. It's about giving you the coaching and guidance to do this exactly how we do with all of our clients. Matt and Simon are going to share the high conviction narratives and altcoin sectors, how long we have left in the bull market. Yep, Luke, we're going to cover that to help you prime for the rest of this cycle. I'm going to talk about my wealth creation framework. People that talk about this passive income online, you've been lied to. I'm going to share with you actually how to do this. And Travis is going to share the investor operating system to understand how their emotions like fear, greed, and ego silently wreck your portfolios and walk you through the exact mindset you need that top performers in crypto use to build their conviction and risk to win long term. All right. Every part of the process you need: strategy, planning, exit frameworks, guidance, accountability, everything we're going to give you today. All right. You're also going to meet people that we work with who manage between $250,000 and $30 million in crypto. They're clients of ours, and they're already making hundreds of thousands of dollars because they follow this system. All right. And you're going to see some of their results live today. But what's most important before we jump in is it's not about your age, not about your background, it's not about where you live, not about your knowledge. It's about the process, all right? And insights and actually following it. And all of you that are here today, I'm pumped up because you're already ahead of 99% of people that are not here. People wait until it's too late. They wait until their round trip and then figure out that it's, they need to fix something. The next 12 months could genuinely change your life. And I want to help you get into that. All right. Are you ready to go? Are you excited? Matt and Simon are going to jump on now. We bring them up on stage. All right. Then we're going to have the investor operating systems, then the sales strategy. And then I'm going to come back on the end and talk about the wealth creation framework and share all the amazing bonuses and how and when you can work with us if you're interested, and the Q&A we're going to get through. Are you ready to rumble? Let us know in the chat if you're keen. If you are, we'll bring up Matt and Simon. How are we, gents? Matt, Simon's got a better camera than you now, mate. We might have to get you the 4K.
Yeah, it does. No, mine's in the office, so gotta go set it all up. It's been delivered. So yeah, Simon will have to show me the ropes.
It's not about the video quality. It's about the analysis, which both are going to share today. So everyone's keen. Renee's keen. Hayward's ready. Gary's ready. Joe, yes. Alan, hell yeah. Let's go. Jason's piqued my interest. Jason, we may be brothers with your last name, mates. That's great that we piqued your interest. Shannon's ready to go. Jira, let's roll. Righto, boys. I'm going to head over to you. Get into it. Talk about narratives,
Awesome.
altcoins, market. Let's rock and roll. Over to you.
Alrighty. I'll just add this to the stage here, and what we're going to get into is Josh. I might just let you take the wheel there, and we have our market outlook, Simon, and of course some altcoins. So all of the conversations we're having, with members, other crypto investors, how long's left in this cycle, what's the outlook for Bitcoin, and how long is it going to take for altcoins, to go on a significant run for anyone new to crypto, altcoins, just any cryptocurrency other than Bitcoin. A big point of discussion all the time with our members, but of course, Bitcoin has been leading the way so far in recent years. So we'll get into that, breaking it all down. Simon, how are we today, and what are you keen to get into?
Yeah, mate, doing really well. I'm just, interested and excited to, I guess, share some of our insights, give you guys a bit of, an idea of how we're research backed and, the analysis that we put into a lot of the content that we create. I think, even if you're not going to become a member, you're going to get so much, really good information, especially from the next half hour, and especially from the exit strategy, which I know is a huge one for people. So, stay tuned for that one as well. But I think, you're going to get a lot of great information out of this.
All righty, let's get into it and just set the scene here, Simon, in terms of where we are potentially still going in this bull market.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, so this is a really good slide to give you guys, I guess, an idea of how much more there's to go. And it's also laying some groundwork of expectations of how high it can go. So what we're showing here is the current cycle, which is on your right, I'm guessing, versus 2017 top and the 2021 top. So crypto has had these cycles. For those people that don't know, it does tend to follow like a global business cycle. So it's not like a unique that it does this on its own. It does this with the rest of the world's kind of stock markets and things like that. But what this graph is showing you is that in the previous cycles, where it's the arrows are saying we are here, these are kind of similar months in the bull market years to the current cycle now. And so back in 2017 had much more upside. That's because it was a much smaller market cap. It was much less known. There was much more speculation. 2021 is kind of similar in that it had a lot more upside because I guess it was still relatively early. There's a lot more people. There's a lot more institutions, which we'll get into talking about in this presentation about why it's such a more in demand and known quantity now. So that means the upside is capped to a degree, but that doesn't mean there's no upside still here. And so that's what we're kind of trying to show here is that this cycle, we still think there's plenty of money to make in the upside here. So keep that in mind. But also the other thing to keep in mind is that you don't have to make it all in one go. It's not about necessarily doing it all in one cycle, because I don't think any of us here at Collective Shift have actually, made it in one cycle. It usually takes multiple cycles to do that. And so being around, I guess, is the important part. If you were buying crypto in 2023, like this graph is showing, you've done extremely well. So we're in cycles here, that's for sure. There's still plenty of upside potential, and we're going to give you some of the reasons why we think there's still upside potential in this cycle. But also, stick around because you really make the money when we go through that bear market as well. But let's get into it, Matt. Let's say why we think there's still plenty more in this cycle.
Yeah, as you said, a very very simple chart here and an illustration, but it does set the foundation as you did go through. There's multiple factors that can really invalidate this, or keep it going, whether it's coincidence or not. So let's get into it. The first things first, the team here at Collective Shift, we have multiple skill sets. One of those being on-chain analysis. Checkmate, is one of, in my opinion, the world's best, on-chain analysis, and he again really specializes in just tapping into what patterns happening on the Bitcoin blockchain, what is really neat about it. In it being open source and fully public, you can deduce sort of patterns of holder or investor behavior by tracking movements on the Bitcoin blockchain. That leads to a lot of indicators that have been I guess thought of and created over the years to really help us determine, okay, how much the average Bitcoin investors or Bitcoin holders, how many of them are sitting on unrealized profits or losses, how many of them historically, at what point of unrealized profits do they typically sell out at and take profits. And there's many other indicators that we use to help inform our investment decision making when we're talking about cycles in the crypto market. So in the case of Bitcoin, it's been a rather muted, I guess, bull market so far from an on-chain perspective. There hasn't really been that euphoric stage just yet in terms of all the traditional profit indicators such as MV, RV. As you can see on the chart here, been a lot more of a suppressed, behavior when, in very simple terms, if this orange line was to really spike and get into the 4, 5, 6 levels, that would be a really red hot indicator to us that, hey, it's looking like on-chain profits are about to be taken and this cycle is going to come to an end in very simple terms. So far, all of these on-chain indicators are more or less very moderate, I would say. None of them are really getting to that very hot stage. And we have, Checkmate, who does some really world-class on-chain analysis for members of Collective Shift twice a week, really keeping them up to date with the pulse of the market here. So setting the scene here, we have the on-chain analysis side of things. All of those are giving off very moderate signals that lead us to believe, hey, we've still got a bit more to go if we were just viewing the on-chain analytics in isolation. But of course, at Collective Shift, we place a lot of weight on the fundamental analysis, of course. What is that? It's really just, okay, are we getting broader patterns in the crypto industry, in the blockchain technology, like use cases? Are people adopting it? And is that growth rate actually sustaining? Also, things like regulations and also institutional adoption. All of these sort of fall under the bucket of fundamental analysis and various other things, of course. But really, we're seeing in 2025 the continued uptake and demand for Bitcoin primarily from institutions. Certainly, since Simon and myself were involved in the space since 2017, historically, crypto has been a lot more retail driven. But now we've had this era of legitimacy in early 2024, of course, as many of you would know, in the US, with the spot ETFs going live in January of last year. Since then, we've had this very insatiable appetite among the likes of ETF issuers and also these corporations such as Strategy here. So Michael Saylor, I'm sure you're all aware of. They just continue to accumulate Bitcoin at a rapid pace. Strategy, or formerly MicroStrategy, now holds around 3% of the total Bitcoin supply, and they're not stopping. As you can see at the bottom of your screen here, billions of dollars you can still expect to be coming into the system and demanding Bitcoin over the coming months. There's just some of the names, and I emphasize just some of the names, that are still getting involved in accumulating billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. And as I said, the ETFs, it's just very simple, but a very powerful reason why they're so popular. Convenience, a lot of tax benefits there in the US as well of holding ETFs over Bitcoin itself. And again, the growth of those, as you can see on the chart here, has just been historic, really. So on your screen, the yellow line there is just saying, okay, of all the ETFs in history, how quickly have they gotten to 80 billion US dollars worth of assets like under management, essentially. And those are the previous record holders there in the blue, green, and pink lines. And as you can see in the yellow line here is the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF, IBIT. And you can see just how quickly it rose to $80 billion in overall holdings. Yes, there are other Bitcoin ETFs, but this is the one that's by far the most popular. So it was about nearly 5 times as fast as the previous record in terms of the ability or how quickly these ETFs got to 80 billion. So just one of many, many things we could point to in terms of how rapid this demand is for the Bitcoin ETFs.
And before you jump on that, Matt, we should actually talk about, because I don't think we have it in our slides that much, is that the Ethereum ETFs are really starting to take off as well. And the Ethereum treasury companies are starting to take off as well. So there's more buying pressure from institutions, not just on Bitcoin, but on Ethereum as well. So we're getting broader market acceptance and broader market institutional adoption when it comes to the major cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, certainly. We did a report even just yesterday getting into the Ethereum, I guess the corporate demand for all these treasury companies, being spun up, how quickly they're accumulating ETH. And of course, there's some even for Solana that are starting to rise as well. Yes, we talked about institutional demand for Bitcoin being a big thing, this bull market, corporations, also ETF issuers like BlackRock accumulating Bitcoin. But we still think this story is under development. And another reason why we still are very confident this bull market has quite a way to go is at a government level, whether it's state government or federal government, the demand for Bitcoin that may be coming, particularly in the US. We still have a lot of, I guess, TBD or to be determined in that regard. But even just, looking at a state level, we've actually had 2 or actually 3 states now that have approved, the ability to accumulate Bitcoin with part of the state treasury. Again, 3-4 years ago, this was a pipe dream, but to actually have 3 passing now. Less important here is the actual dollar figure. They all are quite minimal, or all quite, a small amount to start with. But I think what's a lot more important here is the trend, and the more of these states that do, I guess, go green in this graphic here, the more likely this would have an effect on other countries around the world, even looking into maybe having a second look into whether they go about accumulating Bitcoin. But one of the big, unknowns and wild cards, I think, here in this bull market is, the extent to which or whether or not the US government itself, goes about accumulating Bitcoin. So that's basically the biggest catalyst or the biggest unknown that we are still monitoring, every week here at Collective Shift. And then when you talk about altcoins, I saw some good questions there about altcoins. And anyone watching, feel free to submit any questions that you'd like me and Simon to answer. We can get to that later on in the Q&A when Ben comes back on as well. But another reason why we're still bullish in 2025 is simply, well, not simply, it's a powerful reason as well. And again, a sort of a pinch yourself moment, going back to all of the years of just very slow adoption. But we're seeing very rapid uptake of stable coins in particular, but also just crypto, just using crypto and blockchain is now a lot less of a barrier for a lot of these corporations, particularly in the US, now that we have a lot more friendlier regulations coming through. We saw the stablecoin bill, of course, in July be approved, and we also have the market structure bill underway, going through Congress. You may have seen last week the White House released a very comprehensive report, basically giving all their crypto recommendations of how to, I guess, regulate crypto in a way that would really promote adoption in the US. So that came at the end of a 6-month review. So that was published last week, which I'm sure a lot of you saw. And again, that just recommended that the market structure bill be passed with a few amendments. But really, the overall message there is a lot of these companies and banks really forecasting in their earnings reports. They're already saying that they plan to, release stablecoins. They have other plans to build on public blockchains such as Ethereum, which is, again, very, very encouraging. And I think the more that these headlines come out in the months ahead, the more that will be very, very favorable for cryptocurrencies and their outlook in terms of prices. Last one here, Simon, arguably the most important. All of what we just spoke about, it's all secondary, really. If this slide was the opposite in terms of the macro, not really being that favorable and actually, being quite challenging for risk assets, all of what we just said in the past 5 or so minutes would be a lot less relevant and a lot harder to sort of build a bull case for crypto moving forward. But thankfully, we are very much in a macro environment where, the outlook for crypto is very, very favorable. So risk assets do a lot better when liquidity is growing and is a lot more, is trending higher, whether that's for US dollar going weaker, or whether that's for other reasons, such as central banks around the world, particularly in the US, cutting interest rates, which will definitely is set to continue throughout 2025 and into next year. Plus, you've got the fiscal side of things with governments around the world spending large. Deficit spending is, again, just out of control. In China and in the US and even in the EU now, they're, again, just really upping how much they're spending. All of that is very conducive for a really strong and positive environment for risk assets like crypto. So again, something that we are very always looking to as another reason why we're expecting, portfolios in the crypto space to do well over the coming months.
Yeah, absolutely. I might address just 2 questions that came through from Alex and Luke as well, talking about, will the cycle go forward? How much is left in the cycle, especially when it comes to, the halving previously. Look, I don't know. None of us know exactly what's going on. I wouldn't bet all and everything on the cycle going longer. It might, but what's longer? Is it going 2 months past? Does that make everyone go it's an extended cycle? Or does it going 6 months past? Like, what's the time? It's not going to nail it exactly in November again. That'd be pretty crazy if it does that 3 times in a row. So I think it could go longer. I think it could go shorter. So don't plan everything all on it going one way. You can take profits at any given time. And Haywood there also, is that crypto or just Bitcoin adoption we're talking about here? So a lot of that presentation was about Bitcoin specific, but then we talked about the Ethereum ETFs, which is obviously more than just Bitcoin. That's Ethereum adoption. And the rest of the altcoins kind of move and flow with Bitcoin and Ethereum to a degree. They are so connected in the market that Bitcoin adoption is the big one. It's the one that's leading the charge. It's what the institutions are building on and getting into. That, raises kind of all these other cryptocurrencies as well. So it's Bitcoin and Ethereum adoption by the institutions, definitely, but that kind of raises all the rest of the crypto. And we're going to talk about some altcoins soon and what they kind of need to actually really stand out and have their own adoption phase as well, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. Well said. And a lot of what we do at Collective Shift is assessing, where we are in the cycle and how much, we think we have left to go, as investors ourselves. We have a very big incentive to, do as best as possible in terms of executing our sell strategy and buy strategy, obviously. So a lot of the content that we do produce is related to, that timing and our outlook of where we think things are going. Probably one of the biggest, talking points in many ways of this bull market, again, is retail interest. As we said, Simon, myself have been now, investing in crypto for coming up for 8 years now, and retail interest, as you can see on the chart here, using Bitcoin Google searches as a proxy. There's various other ways you could measure this, all of them, YouTube views, TikTok views, website visits, app downloads on the App Store for Coinbase and things like that. All of them are relatively cold. At best, they're getting up towards moderate in terms of like a heat gauge. But a lot of them are well down from, 2021, and even sometimes even a lot less involvement or interest going back to 2018, according to some metrics, in 2017. So again, paints a picture of a very different market structure and just source of demand for cryptocurrencies, we do think retail interest will come back. Very likely not to the extent we saw in 2021, during the pandemic and when everyone had a lot of spare time and extra money coming from, the government and whatnot. But we still think this is a very another source of extra capital that will be coming into crypto, throughout the rest of this year. But of course, altcoins, Bitcoin has led the way. Excellent. It always seems to happen throughout bull markets historically. But of course, there's thousands of other cryptocurrencies out there, some of which have, in our opinion, found product market fit and have a really strong case for the months ahead. And it's a lot of the work we do at Collective Shift is trying to identify these particular altcoins. So Simon, I might just get you to share your screen or get ready in a second. We'll get over these slides because, again, something Simon, Josh, we'll just get those slides back up. But altcoins, it used to be a lot easier, to be honest, to invest in altcoins. Even, speaking from experience, it takes a lot more research these days. And a lot of people I speak to, if they're still investing in altcoins under the same sort of investment mindset from 2021, often they haven't really done that well in terms of their portfolio performance so far this bull market. A big reason for that, well, as you can see here, this is, I guess, illustrating just how hard it's been. While Bitcoin is at more or less all-time highs, and we've said all of those points, 10 minutes ago or so in favor of Bitcoin and those larger caps, altcoins have really struggled and struggled to find product market fit. These are essentially startups, and a lot of them have really more or less failed. So 490 billion was the peak of the collective altcoin market cap. So Others is a very popular index that you can use to essentially track altcoin collective market cap. It's still around half of its value, still around 4 years later. So around $270 billion there for the Others index. Even with that, at Collective Shift, our analysts and myself, we really do take pride in trying to identify projects, that are sort of being overlooked and we think have a really good setup for continued performance. These are ones we've been, doing quite well on in this bull market and have been sharing along the way with Collective Shift members. As we can see, even since I think it was around the Liberation Day, the middle of March, we've seen Others. Yes, they've gone up. Bitcoin, yes, it's gone up, but other altcoins, not many of them have outperformed, but some of them here on our screen, thankfully, we've done quite well on. So again, we're not resting on our laurels. We're really wanting to identify, as of now, the best altcoins. So we'll get into that and share even why we're still bullish on some of these on your screen here. And of course, happy to answer any questions as well or submit them, and we'll get to answering those later. But Simon, maybe just share what our member platform actually looks like and some examples of posts about altcoins that we've done previously.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get to that, but also just talk to one thing here is that the reason why altcoins are so much harder now is because we actually have altcoins that have real products and trying to make real world use cases, whereas previous cycles, it was just, dreaming an idea of what we could make. And so back then there wasn't as many, and just the tide lifted all ships, so everything kind of went up. That's not happening this cycle. There's just too many things out there. There's too much VC backing a lot of these projects as well. And so they're creating real products, which is why, some of those ones we've listed there are some that have a real product, which is interesting. And Animesh asked, can institution adoption disrupt the 4-year cycle? I don't think institutional adoption could disrupt the global business cycle, which I think, crypto is a part of. It can't disrupt that, but the institutional adoption can disrupt this altcoin season that everybody kind of wants to see happen. Because what previously used to happen is people would make money in Bitcoin, sell their Bitcoin, they'd go into the riskier assets like Ethereum, make money in Ethereum, sell that profits and go down that risk curve. And that created that altcoin season. Institutions will disrupt that process because the people that are buying Bitcoin, they're not selling it. They're not playing that game. So I think the altcoin season will be disrupted by institutions. I don't think the whole crypto market can fight off the whole global business cycle. So I think that will still happen. And to your point, Matt, let me get into sharing my screen then. So we're going to give you a little bit of an insight, I guess, into what Collective Shift's platform actually looks like, and what you actually get to see and how our research is. And so I'm just going to try and add this to the stage. Josh, if you could help me there, because I don't seem to think it's working for me. There we go. Beautiful. Thank you. So this is, I guess, behind the scenes view, behind the curtain of what actually is on in Collective Shift. So we have research-backed insights here. And so this is what we call the shift list here. And this is how we rate a lot of altcoins. We don't obviously cater for all of them. There's just too many. But this is a dynamic rating system where it automatically will calculate our risk reward based off our own insights and our own calculations and our own measuring points. So there is a lot of automation in this. There's a lot of manual stuff that we review these things manually, and that gives us our rating on this. Just to be clear, this is specific for this cycle only. We're not projecting out these kind of things into the future. And this is, a great place where most of our members will come to get some insights into what we think about specific coins and where we think they're going. So to talk about altcoins that we're really excited in, obviously one big one for us in general and for me personally is SUI. So we can go into our SUI asset page and it'll give you basically some detail of, all the different times our researchers touched on it. So all the different reports. There is just so many to hear that you can go through and see all the times that we've actually talked about SUI in our research platform. And it also gives you a snapshot here of what we think about SUI in general, the bullish case. We give you the bearish takes. We're not just trying to be an echo chamber, so we always try to figure out what we think is wrong about it. But it gives you some real detailed insight into what we think about it. And so to show you SUI, I guess, again, a bit more of what we're actually doing. So this is one post that I did on SUI in February 13. It was talking about, why I think SUI has, really started to become the darling of the cycle in so many ways. But this wasn't the first time. That was 6 months ago when we first saw that. I first talked about SUI September 19 last year. So nearly a year ago was when I first kind of did a large post on it, talking about what SUI was. And back then, SUI was under $1. So that's when obviously I was buying SUI. We give you our opinions on what we think it is. You can see there's so much research and detail that goes into this. On-chain metrics, fundamentals that we look into, gives you some real insights into why. If you're time poor and you don't want to read it, look, you can also just up the top here, you can just audio listen to it as well. So that's kind of really helpful for a lot of people. And, in these reports, I want to just show you down the bottom here, we have conclusions and we also tell you exactly how we're playing it. So I told people personally exactly how I was playing it. And I was basically telling people that I personally was buying SUI at the time. So you do get some insights and we do to tell you, our thoughts of what we're doing. And, I think that really gives, I guess, some confidence to you guys to know that, hey, we put our money where our mouth is. And, here's our research. And we're also telling you, hey, this is how I'm playing this. We don't buy everything. Another one that we're really obviously excited about is Hyperliquid. And so this is a post I did in April this year. So just before Liberation Day, which would have been a great time to be buying Hype. And Hyperliquid is another layer one out there, but it's a very niche product. It's creating a perps trading platform. So it is a real world, not a real world product, but it is a real product making money. And that's the big thing that, a lot of crypto is struggling with at the moment is, is it a real product and how is it actually making money? And, what's the upside potential for the future? So Hyperliquid is a real product. It's a trading platform. It's an on-chain trading platform. And that makes it really unique. And I think the big thing that people are missing out on here is they are actually taking on effectively the large centralized exchanges. They're taking on the Coinbases and the Binances and things like that. So that to me has huge upside potential. And again, it's not just hype. It's not just, making this stuff up. It's again, really digging into it, going into, who the founder is and understanding what he's done and how he's created the product and all these things that we go into to form a really strong opinion on it. So Hyperliquid is the really big one. I don't think I talked about why I like SUI either, but SUI, I like this picture more. That's a good picture. The reason I really
Simon,
like...
the screen's not showing, but the SUI on your specific tab there. But yeah,
okay.
Hyperliquid was one post that you did in April. What picture do you like there, Simon? What were you going to say?
Oh, jeez. Let's press that button.
There we go.
That one. How good's that picture? So the reason that we really like SUI is, I guess to a degree, it's the shiny new toy. It really kind of is. It's one of the newest blockchains. It's got a really good marketing story, but basically it has learnt so much more from previous blockchains. It's not the first mover. It's not Ethereum as far as a smart contract layer, but it is definitely learnt and it's building on the shoulders of those other giants. And so that what I think is its advantage, for those who are old enough to remember, MySpace came around and it got taken and dwarfed away by Facebook. And I kind of think Sui could be hitting into that category. It's not the first, but it's learned so much that it could build bigger. So I think that's a really big insight into why we think Sui is going to go big. And I guess because I wasn't showing my screens properly before, you probably missed me showing things like this and the research that goes into all these topics. So that is kind of just, again, behind the scenes detail of all the stuff that we go into and how we really talk about and, research backed and insights into how we actually play these things. And I guess the last thing I want to show you is we're not completely oblivious to meme coins. Meme coins are definitely a big part of the cycle, and it should be a smaller part of your portfolio. But that is what crypto is about as well. It tends to be a gambling casino if you want to. And so we definitely have those insights. We definitely look into that kind of information. And it's definitely probably best to have a small percentage of portfolio in it, as we would say when we talk about portfolio construction. But it's part of crypto, and we are very well aware of it. Matt, have you got any thoughts you want to add to that?
I think that's all well said. And I think one thing I like about the membership as well is the ability to ask questions about any altcoin, really. Simon, myself, other analysts that are joining the team soon, are always happy if it's in the weekly Q&A format for all members. We do answering questions about anything where we prepare. If it's outside the shift list, for example, if you wanted more information, platinum members get an even better benefit in terms of the more immediate access to us, like exclusively through other different communications apps that we have in forms of our groups. Our WhatsApp group in particular, for our platinum members, are able to always just fire off questions throughout the day and get their questions answered, whether it's about Hyperliquid, Sui, or any other cryptocurrency that they're holding. We're always there to answer and provide our opinion on any altcoins, because that's what we do day in, day out, living and breathing this space. And we know that a lot of you out there just simply don't have the time to stay up to date with a lot of this. But yeah, no, that's all really good there, Simon. I think if we can get Ben up soon, I think Hyperliquid and Sui are in all of our portfolios, I believe. And again, I still think moving forward we can expect them to do very well. They don't do well, or they will not do well, I strongly believe this, if Bitcoin doesn't go up from here. Yeah. Thankfully, we still are expecting, as we said, Bitcoin's price to go up quite significantly in the months ahead, and that will therefore allow the likes of Hyperliquid, Sui, other altcoins that we're keeping on top of to outperform Bitcoin. And then that's when we want to be executing our sell strategies, which we'll get into soon in an upcoming presentation. In between ours and Travis's is next, of course.
Thank you, Simon and Matt. That was awesome. And yeah, there's a lot of questions in the chat just about other coins that we didn't mention. Yes, XRP is one that we are bullish on. That's also one in the shift list, and get access to all the tokens and research and stuff, which I can share a little bit later on how you can see that. We're happy to also answer some questions later on if you have more specific questions about XRP or other tokens. All of that is covered in the shift list. But Matt and Simon, absolutely epic. These guys are going to come back very, very soon and help you walk through the sell strategy component. Now you've got the altcoins. The sell strategy is going to come back. So thank you, fellas. That was always insightful. We'll see you back very soon. Thank you.
Lovely.
Now, we're going to bring on our local Florida head of growth expert, Travis, who's about to come on and talk about the investor operating system. How are you, Trav? Oh, he's on mute.
Yeah, going well. Nice and early here.
Awesome, mate. Fantastic. Travis is our head of growth here at Collective Shift. He's an executive and performance coach and works with all of our platinum clients, our high net worth platinum clients, helping them get the most out of their membership, getting them set up for success. But ultimately, he's also been my performance coach for 5-6 years, helping me with mindset, helping me with investing, helping me with business. And Travis is going to walk you through the investor operating system today. Really, really important. This part isn't spoken about a lot. And, a lot of, you guys in the chat that are seeing a lot of this research and the sell strategy and everything, that's all well and good. But unless you can execute on it and understand how your brain works in a bull market, this is why most people round trip, because they get excited, they get euphoric, they get fearful, and they don't make the right decisions at the right time. So Travis is an absolute weapon when it comes to mindset and helping you build the operating systems, which he works with all our clients, and going to give you a bit of a sneak peek today on that for the next 30 minutes or so. So Travis, over to you, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Get the slides up there. Great. So as Ben said, my background and what I do with Collective Shift and our Platinums in particular, which I've been spending a lot of time on recently, is just understanding their own investment thesis or their investment strategy linked back to the decisions they're making every day and how they execute on that, not just going, well, I've got it on paper, but today I feel like it or I don't feel like it. And that's what we're going to talk through. I'm going to identify some of the tactics you can take away, even from today, to start working on maintaining that strategy and really making sure you're delivering on it. So in my experience, there are two types of investors. There are those who invest emotionally and make decisions and change their strategy based on what's happening in the market and how they're feeling that day. And then those who lie about doing those things. So ultimately, you get to decide if you want to be honest and we can support you from that perspective, or if there's this kind of hidden self off to the side that pretends that there's no FOMO and volatility going on in your own investment decisions. We're all guilty of it. It's a human thing. This isn't something to go, hey, I'm out of the norm here, but understanding how that plays into your outcomes and whether or not you round trip or whether or not you see the outcomes you're after from your finances is linked directly to this. Where you'll see my work, just by way of credibility, the heaps of work. I'm located here in Australia, but do a lot of work in the space of Combank and Collective Shift and others who are working really bullishly in the finance space and really trying to crack new ground, really trying to see the best ROI on their returns, some of the best performing assets in the country. But even they get it wrong sometimes. And part of my work is helping them understand, well, how do we get this wrong? How do we miss something here? Or were we too emotional and too quick to react? And that's what I want to bring into today's session. I always think it's interesting to start with a corporate case study. So people go, what does this have to do with me as an individual investor? And the reality of it is that even with the most sophisticated teams, with the most sophisticated assessments of opportunities, people get it wrong because emotion creeps in. Now, some of you may be too young to remember when Yahoo bought broadcast.com. This is how Mark Cuban made the majority of his money initially, was the acquisition by Yahoo. They spent $5.7 billion acquiring this. Now, sounds like not a lot of money. You know, back in the early 2000s, late 90s, it was still a lot of money. But the problem with this purchase isn't necessarily the amount they spent on it. It was the fear of missing out on the technology that drove the decision. And what they ended up doing was spending $10,000 US per user to acquire this. So think about this. For every customer they had, they gave broadcast.com 10,000 USD for that user. You think, actually, in terms of acquisition, we could have done that. And we could have gone to people's houses and given them $1,000 and acquired them as a user, and it would have been more effective. But because they were so concerned about missing out on the opportunity in the market and not being on radio broadcast, which was your pre-Spotify and pre all the technology we have now, that they overpaid by an exorbitant amount and ultimately took a massive write-down on that. It's something we have to understand is really critical, is that even at this level with large teams thinking about this, the human element is still at play. But it's important to remember that the market isn't your enemy. It's your mind. It's the play that you go through. It's the talks you go through at night. It's 2 a.m. when you've had a few beers and you're sitting back and replaying, well, what do I need to do? And what's the FOMO there? And I'll share a quick story that I think is really useful. But we had our recent in-person summit back, gosh, it feels like ages ago, but it was a week and a half ago in Melbourne. We had about 120 Platinum members there, face-to-face, deep diving in these sessions. And we had these small group chats after where we were talking about behavioral decision-making. And one of the members said to me, he's like, you know, I watched your talk in October, and then I followed your advice and said, okay, how did that work out for you? And he said, I woke up, I checked my laptop, checked my portfolio, and I'd seen that I was tanking on one of my investments, and I was about to just put a sell order in and get out. And he said, I remember you saying, why are you making this decision is first, why are you making this? And how do you feel about it doesn't work in a lot with your investment. And he goes, I took your advice. I went and took a shower, went for a walk, made some calls, came back. I'm glad I didn't sell because it bounced 30% after that, and I would have been massively out of pocket on that. And I said, well, that's it. That's really part of what we're talking about today, is just understanding when's that human element really driving you towards a decision that does not fit what you said you were going to do, and you're not going to feel proud about. And he had said if he had sold, he would have felt really crappy because there's a lot of upside there, but he was reacting to, he woke up first thing, he checked his portfolio, and immediately was hijacked emotionally. So I think remembering, if institutions get this wrong, you don't have a shot unless you've got that mindset tactics to really navigate this. Now, for me, there's 3 things that I see playing out, and the silent assassin is really emotion, but it shows up in 3 real drivers. You've got fear, greed, and ego. Now, you're human. We all have these things. I have an ego. We all have egos. We all have fears. We all have opportunistic or greedy behaviors, but understanding how they're working against you is really critical. That's the bit that people miss. I'm not saying these things shouldn't be part of who you are. I'm saying you need to understand when they show up and you're not in control of them. That's what we work a lot with our members on. And I always say your biggest portfolio risk isn't a scam coin. It's you at 2 a.m., 3 beers in, and just going, you know what? I need to get out of this position. Or actually, I need to punt 100K or 50K, whatever it is, into this. And then the next day going, why did I make that decision? Or, you know what? That was a good decision because we're protecting our ego. Understanding those dynamics is really critical. So this is a model I put together a couple of years ago. I've been using it with our Collective Shift members over the years. And what I think people really can relate to is that this cycle isn't just in the markets, but the cycle is also behavioral. So what happens is, someone comes to you, you go on a hike. I've actually heard this story a number of times from our members, but they go on hikes or they go on trail walks or they go spend time at the pub with someone. And suddenly that person has pitched them this idea of an investment that they've made themselves. That person who's pitching it isn't making money off of their friend investing in it, but they've now got FOMO. They've gone, oh, they're in on this. Should I be in on this? Why haven't I been in on this? They've made some money. Oh, one of them even said, between the time when they started the walk and got to the end 4 hours later, that person's investment had ticked up. So that convinced them. So this real FOMO, that fear of missing out, kicks in. But what happens with that is if you're purely driven by FOMO and you don't understand the interplay between that and your strategy, you'll end up with this buy high type outcome, which is, the FOMO's kicked in. Most people, when your Uber driver, as they say, Collective Shift, when the Uber driver says to you, hey, am I right to be in these assets? You're really at that peak mania. And when that peak mania is set in and you're buying high, you're really not positioning yourself well for the best outcome. You're buying on the back of fear of missing out. Then what happens is you buy high and the market corrects, right? It starts to go down or it stabilizes and you go, panic. Wait, hold on. Why did I do this? Why am I still in on this asset? My friend's a fool. Why did I ever listen to them? Look at their life. Well, I shouldn't have done that. Then panic sets in. I've got to do something about this. What do I need to do? We can't just sit with it, right? We can't just go, well, I got it wrong. Let me just see how it plays out. We go, no, I've got to fix this. Then you sell low. You try and get out of it and you end up taking a massive haircut or losing that whole investment. And then regret kicks in. And then there's the missing out, which is, I'm missing out now on the future opportunity because I burned some capital on this earlier opportunity. So we want to help you break that cycle. That is what we spend a lot of time on. One of the things I do with our members is I'm available for half-hour coaching sessions to dive into these particular behavioral and life things. And it's something that happens a lot with our members. They book in these one-on-ones to work through this. So this first trap is FOMO. And the tactic you want to take, so I'm going to give you a tactic for each of these traps, is understanding your strategy, having it pre-written in terms of triggers, and using that rationally, not maniacally. So if you go on a trail walk, like in that example, or you go to the pub or the bar, and you've got this outcome where someone's convinced you to do it, you need to go, you know what? How does this fit with my trigger for buying? Am I just buying because someone's convinced me it's a good idea? No, I'm not going to buy now. I'm going to hold. Why? Because as much as I like that person, that's not the determinant of whether I invest. It shouldn't be, I like this person, so I spend money. It should be, I like this person, so I'll respect the trade they've made, but my pre-written trigger hasn't been reached. I'm not at a point where I need to put more money in the market or I need to sell a position. So recognizing that's really critical. So I've got a quick decision for you to pop in the chat just to get you kind of involved here. But if I said to you, you get $900 for sure, or you had a 90% chance to get $1,000, which one would you take? So I'll give you a minute there to just chuck those up in the chat. I'll wait while we do that. Great. So most people in decision making, in lab settings, in real life, we've had this assessed. This is game theory. It's been around a long time. We'll choose option A. Why? Because risk aversion takes over. I'd rather get $900 for sure. Now, empirically, if you look at that and go, the 90% chance to get $1,000 is actually a better outcome. It is the more logical decision. But that fear, that little 10% possibility of getting it wrong, pushes enough people to make what's considered an inferior decision. Mathematically, it's not the best decision to be making. But understanding that that fear and how that jumps in is really critical to your investment execution. And what we know from a research perspective is that loss aversion hurts twice as much as winning feels good. We know this to be true. If I offered you pain with an upside or the win with a potential downside, you're going to look at that and you're going to assess and go, well, actually, this is going to feel twice as bad getting that to happen. So I'm not going to do that. Why would I make that choice? It's not logically the right decision, but emotionally, it's what we feel. And people operate from that place. The fear of getting it wrong drives decision-making more than the potential benefit of getting it right. Now, obviously, there are some degenerate behaviors that exist in crypto, which we don't endorse, where people use it as a form of gambling. And I would say that we know that that overrides a lot of this protective mechanism. But for the sake of the normal investor, the sophisticated investor, that's not how they behave. Now, what you can do to start to counteract this, as I said, I want to give you a tactic for each, is to frame losses as learning tax. To go, you know what, that 10%, I actually did hit the 10% downside on it, and I didn't get the $1,000 in the last slide. But the reality is that was a learning tax. Why? Why didn't I get that? Oh, I misunderstood what the opportunity was. Or actually, you know what? It was an educated investment. The potential downside was 10% and I got hit with that. That's okay. I take that bet every day of the week. If I have a 1 in 10 shot of getting it wrong and 9 in 10 of getting it right, I take that bet every day of the week, or I take that investment every day of the week, because you've got the research behind you to make that call. So reframing it and understanding that this is possibly either a learning tax because you didn't fully understand the assessment, or it just is part of the nature of investing. You can't get them all right. Now, what we also need to be aware of is we talk about heuristics in psychology. There are about 120 odd. It changes as we discover more, but 120 or so heuristics that we're aware of in human behavior. And heuristics things are like anchoring, sunk cost fallacy, confirmation bias, which is seeking to find things that validate my perspective. And here, one of the things we need to be aware of, and I work in all of those with our members, and when we talk about performance coaching, but recency bias has a big problem, right? Recency bias is something has happened in the market, and rather than looking at the journey of that asset or the potential utility, and as Matt and Simon talk about, the overriding technology and the direction in which they view that to be going, we look at what's just happened. And we see this all the time, even in our current membership group. There's a blip in the market and people go, what the hell's going on with crypto? Why has this happened? What do I need to be aware? Should I be selling down? It's like, hold on. The thing that's happening isn't necessarily the thing we need to be reacting to. If you zoom out quite a bit, or even a month, you go, actually, this is nothing. What are you talking about here? And the same can be said of assets. You know, we look at ones where we can see that there's a massive blip in some altcoin, and members are going, I really need to get in on this. It's hot. And our team are looking at that and going, you know what? We don't see it. We don't think it's there. Now, there might be some short-term gains, but it's not worth it. We're bearish on that asset because we just don't think it's going to go in that direction long-term, or we think there's a potential rug pull. And we see this happen. It builds up, and then there's the crash right back down because there's a rug pull, but people look at it and they go, look at the chart. Look at the chart, man. I go, zoom out in that chart and let's see what's really happening. Don't look at the 1 week chart. Look at the long-term performance and the potential upside of that. You know, are institutions getting in on it? Are, you know, people who are credible speaking about it and getting in on the technology side of it? What's actually happening versus someone going, hey, this just looks great today. So I want you to force yourself to understand, why is this still a good investment? Not just why is it good today? Will it be a good investment in a month or in a year, or whatever your time horizon is for investment? But not, it looks great today, so I'm just going to dump a bucket of cash into it. That discipline is really important. It is something we condition the members to in the chat. We help them understand, hey, why are you looking at this thing this way? Ultimately, we provide the research, and you get to decide, but we want to have you educated enough and empowered enough to go, you know what? No, that's not the one. That's not the play that I'm after. Now, I want you to think about which trap has wrecked you? Which one have you fallen into? Which one is, and post it in the chat, which of those ones that I've covered off on, whether it's the recency effect or, looking at the loss aversion. Why don't you just quickly think back on some of those and just drop in the chat, what are some of the ones that are sticking out for you? What are some of the things that might be affecting how you're investing? I'll give you a second to do that, and then we'll keep ticking along here with a couple more slides. Great. Let's keep moving forward. So for me, my view of it all is that strong mind, strong principles, strong tactics is how you unlock the true wealth. It's not the next play. It's not someone's insider information. That's not the thing that creates sustainable, long-term, repeatable wealth building. It's strength of mind and conviction around those strategies that really drives investment outcomes. And some people don't like this, but it is what it is. It doesn't change what it is. But markets don't really reward IQ purely in and of itself. They reward emotional regulation. And we know that smart and emotional loses money. We've worked with members who are incredibly intelligent and have just made really poor decisions because of lack of emotional regulation, lack of the ability to go, why am I doing this right now? They either have an agenda, or there's something they need to prove to someone, or they're afraid of missing out. And all those drive these poor behaviors. So you can be incredibly intelligent, but irrational in your investment. And those two things are not the same thing. It's really important to understand the distinction there. So the first tactic I want to give you around taking control over this is to have this mindset mastery and to decide cold on what your strategy is. Not when the market's ripping, not when things are going off, and then to execute hot. And I often show this meme in some of my talks, but are you winning, Dad? It's like, son, pack up your stuff. I just lost the family home. It's time to go. And it's because of this, right? Market's ripping and we go, I've got to make a call. Well, was that part of your strategy? Was there some threshold that's been crossed? Was there a decision vertical that you needed to make a call on? If not, why are you doing it? What's the driver here? Why are you moving away? And we see this in Bitcoin, right? It's even one of the most stable assets and one of the best performing over time, the best performing over time. And you look at it and people go, I got to get out of this. It's like it's taking a bit of a hit. And you go, hold on, like, why has this come up now? It's like, well, I'm down a bit. It's like, let's talk about what's really going on. What's the fear? What's the driver here? Why are you doing this? And how's this going to affect you long-term if you react today? So the tactic is to really have those preset rules and sell strategies. Just like that member who said he went and took a shower and went for a bit of a walk and was about to sell, that he didn't have a sell strategy that said, I must sell because I've taken a hit. But he was about to do that. And he said, you know what? I need to go. I need to get away from this thing because I'm about to dump during a dump in the market, and I'm going to feel the pain of that. He said his potential loss in that was 30% of the investment, which is massive, massive downside. And second is emotional naming. So we know from fMRI scans, these have been around for a long time. We understand the data around it. It's a little bit small to see, but if you zoom in or press your face against the monitor quite closely, that top tier of row of images are when people are emotionally reacting to something. So we show them an image, or we do something like we pinch them or whatever it might be to get them to react. So it might be fear, it might be joy, it might be something happy on the screen. Those are genuine emotional reactions. Then in the second row, people were asked to imagine that those things were happening. Imagine that you've been pinched, or imagine that your kids just won a baseball game, whatever it might be. The parts of the brain that lit up, although not exactly as strong, you can see the coloring is not exactly as bright, but the parts are the same that lit up, which tells us that humans, without actually experiencing the emotion, can be prompted to experience an emotion. And understanding that that motion is firing is really critical. So one of the things I talk to our members about and coach them on is understanding what emotion is here, because they might be feeling fear when there's nothing to be afraid of. But because they thought about something that makes them fearful, that fear is activated. So in their brain is going, I'm in danger. I'm afraid right now. I need to do something about this. When in actuality, nothing's happened. There's nothing that's entered the room that they need to be afraid of. The market hasn't even moved, but something has happened where they've built this narrative over time. And so what the first tactic here is to understand the emotions and name them. If I'm feeling afraid, where is that coming from? Let me park that for a second. Let me understand what it is. Let me go for a walk, whatever I need to do to just break that cycle for a minute. And then I need to understand, how did I get here? how did I end up afraid of this thing? Did something happen? Did I talk to someone who convinced me that I was on the wrong strategy? Did my parents say to me, or did my coworker say to me, how can you be in that crypto stuff? That's just dangerous cowboy behavior. Whatever it is, I need to understand that driver and then either eliminate it or just practice rehearsing that emotion to the point where it doesn't bother me anymore. The magnitude of those emotional responses decrease the more we rehearse that emotion. So understanding, hey, I'll feel afraid when I think about this thing. I just need to get used to thinking about it to a point where I don't react anymore. That's emotional rehearsal. And then on Mindset Mastery, tip 3 is really around micro wins as a mentality. We often see people looking to the left chart here, which shows, I've got an investment and I want to see it go like this, and then I want to cash out at some point before it goes like this. So you're talking about timing the top of the market, correct? I'm like, oh, I guess you could call it that. It's like, no, that is what it's called. It's like, but what we want to see along the way is actually, we want to see some thresholds. We want to say, you know what, at this, and Ben, Simon, and Matt are phenomenal at this, because what they talk about is, when are you taking profits? When are you actually capitalizing on the growth of your investment? If you've got some goals, if you want to buy a property, or if you want to put your kids through school, or whatever it is you want to pay for their college, whatever it might be, taking profit at a certain point is critical, rather than going, I'm going to wait till the exact top of the market and I'm going to hope I grab it before it comes crashing down. Well, too many people are playing that game. Instead, what you see on the chart on the right is we're taking profits along the way. Now, you can keep part of your base investment in there. You can take your whole investment out and just keep the profits in. Whatever your strategy is up to you. And that's something that the team can work with you on, is just understanding what the research is and what the potential strategies might be for you. But ultimately, you cannot wait for this big exit event. You have to understand, if I have goals, that's when I capitalize on the opportunity. So leveraging that is really important, and sticking to the rules that you've set to yourself are really important. So literally a conversation I had yesterday, I had two of them yesterday, was around this idea of, I've got a goal and I want to make sure I hit it. And I said, well, what's your marker along the way? And the member said, I don't really have one. I said, well, there's got to be something. What are you taking this money for? And they're, well, I want to be able to buy this property, and I want to be able to move to here. And I said, well, each of those are a potential goal. You got to take profit along those way. Otherwise, you get to the end and you go, shit, I missed the opportunity. Now I'm down too much. And now I'm trying to recover, not because I need more money, but because I'm afraid I won't be as strong as I was if I had gotten out earlier. So people then try to rebuild during a down or a bear cycle. So we want to go, you know what, this is your goal, lock it in. And when you hit that goal, take the money. Do not wait. Do not keep going. Do not get greedy, because the greed is what will mean you'll miss out ultimately. And then additionally is just conviction. Once you've set your strategy, really being locked in on it. It's something, again, I admire our team for, the conviction around when we've said something is moving a certain way. Unless the information has changed or the fundamentals have changed, we're not changing our view on it, which means we're not pulling money in and out of the markets. Why? Transaction cost will kill you on that. But also, it's just not the way to do it. We're not day trading here. None of us who invest personally, which all of us do, are day trading on crypto. It's understanding what's the investment strategy we've set for ourselves, and that's different for each of us, and where are we going with that, and then really committing to that, having the conviction to stay the course even when it's difficult. So it's understanding those goals that you set in the last slide are the things that will drive you forward during the choppy waters, during the difficult times. Even this week, when crypto's pulled back, there's people ignore the fact that the markets have also pulled back, and economically around the world, we're having lots of challenges, but they look at their crypto and go, I've got to do something about this. No, people aren't. The same people who are pulling their shares out of the market right now are feeling the hit of that. Don't be one of those people. Like, this is a blip. Tariffs are happening, whatever's happening in that particular moment, let it play out, because you know where you're going and you know what your goals are. That's what's critical. And then last tactic for you is really to just master your mindset around decision making through journaling. And this is that tactic that member went away and used that I spoke about. But it's, before you make any trade or investment, either investing in or taking out. It applies both ways. Don't just use it when it's convenient. But it's, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? And what would change my mind? What specific thing would I need to hear, see, feel, etc., to change my mind? And then later on, once you've made that decision, it's either gone poorly or positively. Either way, don't ignore one and pick the other. I want you to ask yourself, why did I do that? Like, well, actually, that was my plan, and I just execute on the plan. And even if it didn't pan out, I executed on my strategy the way I said I would. And I don't regret that because it was the right call with the information available at the moment. I coach a number of executives and business owners, and I hear this all the time. It's like, if only I'd known hindsight. And I go, you can't use hindsight to assess. It's like saying to a 5-year-old self, well, if you had invested from when you were 5, you would have done well. It's come on, man. Like you can't apply that thinking to a 5-year-old. It just doesn't work that way. So understanding that you won't get it right every time, you will have hindsight, but ultimately what we're looking for is why you made the decision, not if it was the right decision. That's the critical differentiator there. I think what I'd kind of wrap up by saying is that discipline beats dopamine. Like that's my thing. That's what I spend most of my time on supporting our members on, is just understanding that driver and understanding that the discipline is what matters. And if that means turning off notifications for certain things, exiting certain positions because you can't tolerate the risk, whatever it is, you need to understand what that is and then lock in that discipline using those tactics we've covered and a number of other ones that we provide to our members. So just quickly in the chat, I always like to hear from people what they would do differently as a result of even just some of those tactics, even if it's as simple as taking one of them. But what are your habits and what are you committed to changing as a result of the conversation we had today? So I'll give you a minute to do that, and then I'll hand back over to Ben and the team. Great. Well, I'll leave you in more than capable hands. I'm seeing some great posts in the chat. So thanks, Alex. And hey, what so not buying at 2 a.m. after 3 beers. Yes, we are all maybe guilty of that at some point or another. But yeah, I'll leave you in the capable hands. I look forward to working with you if you sign on and apply for our membership. But I think there's some great opportunities to make sure that you're not getting hit with the behavioral pains of the market.
Thank you, Trav. Discipline beats dopamine, mate. That's we need that on the t-shirt.
Next batch.
I love it. Thank you so much, Trav. And as Travis mentioned, so Travis is the head of growth at Collective Shift, works with all our platinum clients, and recently did a presentation at one of our in-person strategy days. Travis is also going to be in our upcoming Miami in-person day, which is really exciting. So Travis will actually be there in person presenting at our Platinum Day in October, which I'm going to share all of those details very soon for those who are interested in jumping on board and really starting to build your portfolio and getting that mindset right for the bull market. So thank you so much, Trav. I appreciate it, mate. We'll see you very soon. Now, this is probably going to be really, really important in terms of today's session, the sell strategy component. We're going to bring Matt and Simon back on to talk about now how to actually take profits once you've really built things up, and those step-by-step sell strategy pieces is important to get that process locked in. So Matt and Simon are going to come up and do the crypto sales strategy. And then I'm going to come back and talk about actually how to grow your portfolio as a busy investor, and talk about the amazing exclusive bonuses that we're going to have for all of you for jumping on today's live session. We can get access to Travis, access to Matt, access to Simon, myself, to help you build and grow your portfolio alongside all of you. So Matt and Simon, hopefully you guys are ready to rumble. Everyone's pumped up and ready to go for the sales strategy. So I'm going to hand back over to you guys.
Thanks, Bernie. I'd have to say this is probably, if you get nothing from anything else, this is probably the biggest one, because most people always say they don't want to round trip the cycle again, or they don't know how to exit, they don't know how to get out. So this is a really important one to take note of. It's just some simple strategies, I guess, into how to do it. But you might be thinking, oh, it's so simple to say, so much harder to execute. So we're definitely going to give you a lot of value here, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Simon, executing this sales strategy. Let's crack into it. And of course, keep these questions coming in the live chat as well. Over to you, Simon.
Yep, sure. I'm going to jump to the next slide, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So I think before we actually give you some strategy on how to execute it, let's talk about expectations versus reality of selling, because I think this really frames it well of managing your expectations of actually what you're going to achieve. And so basically, I've got a slide here showing, so this is just a generic chart here. And the expectation from everyone here is like, when's the top? When do I want to buy? People want to know how to sell here. That's the expectation, is that they've seen people draw on graphs before. They know how high it can go. Basically, everyone's asking the question of, how do I sell the top here? Well, here's the reality of it. The reality is you're not going to sell the top. It's incredibly hard to do it. Nobody really does it at all. So we need to manage the expectations. And so I'll put together some data to really give you some insights into how to understand and manage the reality of how high you can go. So this is the reality here. This is actually the Bitcoin chart from 2021. So this was the top in November in 2021. And so what I'm trying to show you here is that what's the likelihood of getting close to the top. And so that blue line there, that blue line is 5% from the Bitcoin top, which was 69,000 back in 2021 there. So the reality of getting within 5% of the top of Bitcoin in 2021, you had 3 days to do it. There was 3 days within which the Bitcoin price was in 5% of the top. So now you're starting to go, oh, I'm not actually going to sell that top anyway. That sounds really hard to nail within 3%. So automatically, if you are thinking last cycle, 69,000, 5% away, you're already, way down. And so the yellow line now is 10%. And so again, we really need to push this expectations reality into it. You had 16 days. So this is a 4-year kind of cycle. 4 years, you had 16 days to sell within 10% of the top. So now you're talking about selling crypto at 63,000, basically 62,000 in 2021. Really, really hard to do. If you did that, you would be honestly in like some of the top 1% of people who actually sold within 10% of the top. And again, to really drive it home, third line there, the purple line, 15%, you had 33 days to sell within 15% of the top. So now you're back down under $60,000 to actually sold within 15% of the top. That's the reality, guys. So you need to manage that expectation. So if you're sitting there thinking, oh, Bitcoin's going to 150, 180, 200,000, whatever that target might be, or whatever expectation you're going to have, you've got to have that reality that actually, I'm actually going to sell it much lower than that. And this also brings to the foray the concept of, I'll just sell high and buy again low. Well, you're not selling that high. You're actually selling 15% down from there. And guess what? Buying's just as hard. So I'm going to buy again low, but you're not going to buy the bottom. So I'm going to buy 15% from the bottom. So now you got that much smaller window if you think the buying high and selling low is a really good strategy. And it's not just Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has that, but let's talk about other things in crypto, which are far more volatile, much less chances of actually nailing the top. So the meme coins, this is Dogecoin from 2021. And so Dogecoin, obviously the biggest meme coin out there, still is by market cap. How much time do you think there was to sell within 5% of the top on Dogecoin? How much time do you think we had? We had 3 days to do it for Bitcoin. For Dogecoin, you had 0 days. 0 days to sell within 5% of the top. That's because it went up so fast and down so fast. You had no time at all to actually sell anywhere near the top. So any altcoin is going to have even a smaller window to be able to sell the top. So again, manage the expectations. You're not going to sell the top. If your altcoin 10x's, that doesn't mean you get to fulfill that whole 10x. You might get it at 7x, 8x. That's still an amazing return, but you're not going to sell that top. Let's keep going with altcoins to really drive this home, guys. 10% of the top for Dogecoin, you had 1 day. 1 day to sell within 10% of the top. So again, guys, do you think you're that good that you're going to nail it? So maybe what you might get is some of your sell there. So if you ladder some sell prices, or you have a strategy, which we'll talk into is about some of those ways you can automate this. Maybe you can get some of your portfolio in that area, but you're certainly not going to get all of it. 15%, you had 4 days. So 15% of the top. And this is common for most alts. I mean, Dogecoin was one of the biggest ones. So there's many more altcoins that would have even smaller windows than this to actually sell at the top. So again, this is really hard. And because it's just ridiculous, let's do one more line. 25% of the top for Dogecoin, you had 5 days. 25% down from the top, you had 5 days to do it. So really understand that, really, take that in, the fact that to hit those, when people like to draw on a graph, if it gets up to here, that's going to 5x, 10x, 15x, whatever the crazy outcome people want to draw on a graph. The reality is you ain't going to get anywhere near that because you never sell the top. No one is that good. And so that's the reality, guys. Your expectations are that I'm going to sell the top. The reality is you're not even going to come close. If you can sell within 15% of the top on any coin, I think you've done extremely well. So I think that is the expectation you need to have for yourself. And that is the reality of what's going to happen for you when you actually try to execute on these plans, guys. Keep that in mind. I think now we're going to get into some actual real strategies for you guys. So Matt, I'll throw it back to you, I think.
Yeah, thank you, Simon. In terms of sales strategies, I have hundreds of conversations over the years with members about, what's the best way to go about, laying out a sales strategy. And, it does sound cliche, but it really does depend on the individual and how much time they're willing to put into something like crypto, and also their risk profile as well has a really big, I guess, that will lead them to sort of adjust their sell strategy and what suits them. So we'll go through some different sell strategies, and also happy to answer any questions as we go to really try to nail your sell strategy and take as many profits as much profit as possible in the remaining parts of this bull market. The first one here, in terms of ways to formulate a sell strategy, this is a relatively popular one in terms of dollar cost averaging out. You often hear people about encouraging accumulation of Bitcoin, dollar cost averaging in to a market. Pretty simple here. It's the reverse of that. If you have more or less a gauge on how long you think the cycle will last, you could start to dollar cost average, around that time, maybe spread it out plus minus a few months. And then you can go about, selling a portion of a Bitcoin, in this example, 0.2 Bitcoin every month until the final month of however much Bitcoin you plan on holding until that hits. It's a relatively simple one, less common. This is by far the most common sell strategy that we have in terms of dealing with members and helping them out as well. A lot of them end up deciding that this is a sell strategy to go with. This example here is target prices. So again, pretty straightforward in terms of its definition. Really, it's setting predicted prices of a certain cryptocurrency, and then depending on your own investment goals and your own risk profile, adjusting how much percent you're wanting to take off. So if you're someone who's a bit more, really, really needing or wanting a 2x or a 3x, and you're a lot more risk seeking of an investor, you're very likely to skew your sales much closer to your price target. If you're someone who's a bit more conservative and wanting to lock in as many a profit, regardless of what figure it is, you're likely to skew your sales a lot closer and a more wider range of prices. So again, very simple here. This is, in this example, you're shaving profits on the way up, and you're even leaving, in some cases, you can leave a long-term stack as well. So again, Bitcoin, people always ask us how high do you think it can get? We can get into that soon. In terms of how to determine price targets, this is arguably, like, again, I've been doing this for day in, day out for many years. I would say this is arguably some of the most value from our membership, because the reality is a lot of people just don't have time to determine price targets. Why that Troy is asking the question here, like, how do I determine price targets? And like, the honest answer is you need to be very tapped into the market. Like, you really need to understand each individual cryptocurrency. If it's more of a momentum based investment, such as on an altcoin that you think is coming into and riding a really good investment theme, and it has like a lot of upcoming catalysts, that is often a lot of room, speaking from experience, where you can significantly up your price targets because you have a really good sense of that project's, I guess, roadmap and development timeframe. If it's an altcoin with a lot more of a known quantity, it's more or less running out of upcoming catalysts. For me personally, that would be time where I would start to look for sort of reducing my price targets, even irrespective of where Bitcoin is going. So Troy, there is like a myriad of there's various different factors that go into determining price targets. And part of what I do and what Simon does is, I guess, sharing, when we are individually selling, like as investors. But for an individual altcoin, it does get a bit more complicated. Is there anything, Simon, in terms of determining price targets that you'd like to add in there for Troy?
I think it's obviously the crystal ball question that everybody wants to know, and it's just never as simple as that. So I'm not going to give you a guide on price targets. I would rather say that this example here, we're saying target prices. I mean, people love target prices because it's so easy to calculate. I will have this much money when I sell. And so that's great. I totally get that. People have goals and they want to figure out how they're going to achieve them and doing that. So you're not going to sell the top, as we just kind of said. So this example here is showing 4 price sell targets. Have 10, have 20, have constantly taking chips off the table, knowing that the cycle is going to top at some stage, knowing you're not going to sell the top is probably the best element of that. And so we'll talk a little bit later on sentiment. And that's kind of, I guess, kind of give you an indication of when you should start ramping up that selling, or when you start, really trying to, look for the exit, because a lot of indicators are showing that the market cycle top is in. But you're never going to know. You're never going to get it 100% right. You've got to come up with something. And so there's plenty of analysis out there. We obviously can put plenty of analysis in there. We do give some elements of guidance, especially for Bitcoin, about where we think it's going to be. But we're also looking at it real time. And so our assessment will change, somewhat regularly. So don't try and have, a big fat finger sell button on one price target. Have lots of sell targets. Sell, and automate this is probably the best thing about this sell strategy, is that you can automate this, whether it's on a decentralized exchange or a centralized exchange. And as Travis talked about, take that emotion out of it. But the reality is you're not going to sell the top. So just remember that. You're never going to get the right price target. Have lots of price targets. Constantly take chips off the table. If you remember, our very first presentation was saying we are closer to the end of the cycle than the start. And I've been telling a lot of our members, how would your life and your portfolio change if you took 5% off now, if you just took 5% profits off now? Most people said, well, they'd be pretty happy because they've locked in some profits. Yeah, they would. Like, oh, it's going to go up more. Probably, but there's no harm in always taking profits. And so if you're asking yourself the question of, is now a good time to take profits? The answer is probably always yes. Yes is always a good time for just taking profits.
Yeah, well, so there's some great insights as well that people are leaving in the comments. Appreciate that. We'll get into more on sales strategy because, there's a lot more. This is a big focus of ours, clearly, and there's a lot more we can say. So we'll get through some of these, and it will help you all understand where we're approaching this from. Time-based sales strategy. This is probably the third type of sales strategy you see in the crypto space in particular. Historically, has been a very cyclical market, as we went over earlier. Therefore, if you're under the assumption that cycle will play out again, you can, and you're not really someone you're a bit more passive of an investor, you can, in future, sort of just lock in your sales strategies based on time, knowing that you won't nail it in terms of really executing it, perfectly. As Simon said, no one really does anyway. This is a relatively uncommon sales strategy. But yes, none of those three are what Simon and myself do. This is really the sentiment-based sales strategy that is our bread and butter. So Simon, maybe just break down what is this sales strategy?
Well, I would say it's actually a combination of all the ones we just talked about. And so I guess Matt and me had that, extra advantage that we can spend a lot of time in the market. So we do get to get a feel for the sentiment of how the market is going, how the market's feeling. It's based off a lot of those fundamentals. It's based off a lot of data-driven movements. And it is based off things like time. We're talking about this cycle is closer to the end of the finish. So that weighs into how thought processes of when it's time to sell. If we're getting towards December, I'm definitely imagine I would have been taking some profits at that point in time because we're just much later in the cycle. Could the cycle go longer? Sure. It's definitely close to the end though. Do I want to risk my entire portfolio to keep going? Probably not. And so that's what the sentiment-based element is. It's really hard to probably do. It's kind of, in some way, it's a gut feeling from Matt and me because we're so in tune with the market. So it's probably not the best strategy if you are time poor. And you can't automate this either, whereas the other ones you can automate. And so it's not necessarily that you guys need to go with one of those strategies, although I do think dollar cost averaging out is probably the best strategy for time poor people because you can automate that. So if you can automate your sales strategy, I'd highly recommend doing that. Remove your emotion, make sure you're taking profits. This one takes a lot of time, and we, as we said, we get to spend full time in the market, so we get to do this. But it's not like I can leave you with nothing here. If you want to know the best sentiment that I've seen as a great indicator for when we should sell, for those who were around November last year, if people can remember what happened in November last year to the crypto market, there was a certain little guy called Donald Trump who was a very presidential candidate who got voted in. The market went euphoric because finally crypto had become mainstream, had gotten adoption by the US government effectively. That period of time, markets absolutely ripped. Bitcoin ripped. Altcoins did crazy amounts of returns. Only the really strong quality altcoins, some of them really showed their hand there. But that period of euphoria, that period of insanity, that period of everybody talking about how much their portfolio going up, when you feel that greed, that's the sentiment signal you guys should be looking for to definitely start taking profits. So that is the sentiment that me and Matt look for. That is a real indication for you guys as well at home. If you are feeling greedy, if you're looking at your portfolio every day, that is telling you it is time to sell.
Yeah, well said. There's questions here regarding, shouldn't your sales strategy be largely dependent on your investment goal? And that's entirely correct. So me and Simon are talking about sentiment-based selling in terms of trying to maximize profits in this bull market. That's our goal. And it's a very common goal of Collective Shift members. They join us and are relying on our commentary in many ways to help accelerate their own investment decision making and their ability to ask us questions, whether it's for platinums in the WhatsApp group and a lot more shorter of a response time, or that weekly Q&A dynamic in the member platform, plus our live streams that we do for platinums, plus the ones we do for our broader member base. All of those are great touch points. But ultimately, if your investment goal is something different, or you're a longer term investor, you are ultimately still responsible for crafting your own sales strategy, ideally in accordance with your investment goals. And we do a lot of work and have a lot of resources on how to even go about formulating your own investment goals and your risk profile. And therefore that ties into our sales strategy resources that we do have as well on the member platform. So a lot of people asking how far can Bitcoin go, this cycle. We've gone over, yes, we have our reasons why we still think it's going to go up. One thing that can really, I guess, lay the foundation of your sales strategy, and for me personally, after years of crypto investing, I've found that this is what's been most successful for me, is I firstly have my price outlook for Bitcoin, and then that sort of sets, I guess, the touch point and the expectation for all of my altcoin investments. So if I'm saying, hey, Bitcoin, I think it can double from here or go up by 50%, let's just say I think it can go up 50% from here. My altcoin investments and my sales strategy, like I fully am expecting my altcoins to go up by at least 2x. And that's when I am looking to start selling. So that's what really sets my sales strategy underway and gets it up and going. And then from there, I personally go on an individual sort of altcoin to altcoin basis. I have different sort of price levels based on where I think that altcoin is in terms of its sort of run and development. As we were saying earlier, Simon and the team here, we have the luxury of that and sharing that information. But yeah, going where Bitcoin is, having that as your sort of foundation. And if your altcoins, you really need them to justify the risk. You need them to be greatly outperforming Bitcoin. Otherwise, you should really just be holding Bitcoin if you can't really see your altcoins going up by 2x.
Yeah, and I'll double down on that to a degree. People, obviously want price targets for altcoins, which is so much harder to obviously predict because it's not as, I guess, known quantity as Bitcoin. Previous cycles, we did kind of have a bit more of a disconnect where Bitcoin would move up and the others would follow a week, 2 weeks later, altcoins a little bit later. This cycle, the data clearly shows that when Bitcoin goes up, everything else is going up at the same time. So there's no lag between Bitcoin going up and, say, a Solana going up. They pretty much take off on the same day, the same time. Just the volatility of the smaller market caps, they go up more. But on the opposite side of things, when Bitcoin goes down a bit, the altcoins go down more. So you don't necessarily need to have a price target for all of your altcoins. You just need to follow that Bitcoin movement to a degree. And so if Bitcoin is moving up, your altcoin, if it's a good solid altcoin, it's probably likely to move up as well. And so if you've got a reasonable idea of when you want to take profits on Bitcoin, it's probably a good time to take profits on your altcoin as well, regardless of what price target or regardless of your imagined return that you might get, because the market tends to follow Bitcoin in the up and the down. There's not really a time lapse between it. So it's not like you can time between going to them. It's literally Bitcoin goes up, everything else goes up. Bitcoin goes down, everything else goes down more. So follow Bitcoin when you want to follow price targets. It's a much easier way than trying to come up with individual price targets for all your altcoins.
Yeah, well said here. We might get Ben back up on stage. And I suppose, Ben, can you just maybe explain a bit if he is there? I think one of the benefits with the WhatsApp for Platinum members is being able to share in real time when we're buying and when we're selling. Ben and myself, Simon, we're always sort of sharing our journey as crypto investors. And one of the biggest benefits people I speak to is they are busy working outside with their professional jobs, their careers, raising family, being able to log on to WhatsApp or the Collective Shift member platform is a really great way to help them execute their sales strategy, because without commentary like ours, they're in many ways shooting in the dark and a better position not being in something like as fast moving as crypto. So yeah, Ben, can you just maybe explain like that whole idea of posting in the WhatsApp? It's a relatively new benefit that we offer Platinum members.
Yeah, so you basically get access to analysts, all day round, which is epic. So whenever you've got a question, you need help with a sell strategy, you need help with like maybe an altcoin that you're looking at, you can basically whack in the chat, hey, I need help with this. Who can help me? And then we've got analysts dedicated to the WhatsApp community. Myself's in there, so we're there to help you all year round. So you basically like, again, this team is quite large. We're spending $250,000 a month on our team. And then obviously you get access to the team far cheaper by becoming a member. You get access to the analysts, essentially 24/7, which is absolutely epic. So the WhatsApp's been a great addition, which is fantastic. So fantastic, Matt and Simon, absolutely awesome stuff. You still got a little bit to go.
No, that basically wraps up for us. Like, we do have other sales, yes, we talked about like designs of sales strategies that people have. There are definitely many like sort of secondary implications or like things to consider as part of nailing and really doing well with your sales strategy. Tax implications are a huge one. And also like tax implications, yes, like if you're in the US, anywhere in the world, you should really consult with a professional, tax accountant to really find out ways to optimize for your own wealth and your family's wealth, the best way to go about, selling and finishing off this bull market. But there's other considerations definitely, such as like your readiness and ability to sell. So what we mean by that is if you're holding cryptocurrencies in self custody, things like on cold wallets or hardware devices like Ledger or Trezor, have you just done a test run? When was the last time you did a test run of actually, transferring that cryptocurrency to an exchange and going about selling that? Because for many people, it may have been years since they've done that. So going through and having a practice run can very much like bolster like the likelihood that you really execute your sales strategy in the way that you want to. So, how you're custodying your cryptocurrency, tax considerations. I know there's several other points we have on sales strategy. Simon, is there any other one you can think of there? Online security.
Yes, have a dry run of what you're doing, because here's the thing is that I was using MetaMask the other day, and because I've used a lot more Solana, I had to rethink about how to do it. And so if I'm still struggling, that means, we're still early to the space, which means the user interface is not as great as it could be, but I still struggle to remember how to do it. So do that dry run. Make sure you remember how you do it, because as Travis talked about, you want to be in a calm emotional state when you're doing it. You don't want to be stressing out, and you don't want to make a mistake when you're going from self-custody to a centralized exchange, however you're going to do it. And I'm just going to double down again, though. When it comes to sales strategy, automate it as much as possible. You need to remove that emotional connection to it. You need to automate as much as you can. The centralized exchanges can do it. The decentralized exchanges can do it. And I saw there was a question earlier, where do you take your profits to? That's personal, whatever you want to do. People like to just stack Bitcoin and they take their profits from altcoins into Bitcoin. Stable coins is predominantly where I'm going to probably take mine. Taking back to your own currency, whether it's USD, Australian dollars, whatever currency it is, always a great option. It just entirely depends upon you, but automate your sales strategy as much as you can.
Bang on. Amazing. Thank you so much, Matt and Simon. So Matt's going to come back very soon and do some Q&A, but Simon, thank you so much for all your help today. So as always, Simon posts all of his research and insights in the member platform, which I'll share with you how to get access to that very, very soon. And as well as if you need help on your sales strategy, again, I'm going to help work through that with you guys very soon on like how we can actually help you one-on-one to help you on that sales strategy component. It's a big area of our membership that we help our clients with, and especially with the upcoming in-person days in Sydney and Miami coming up. We do a lot of stuff on sales strategy, also in person, in real life events, which is epic. So thank you, Simon. And thank you, Matt. We'll see you guys very, very soon. How's everyone feeling? We've got an hour to go. I'm about to punch into getting all of the insights to help you now grow your portfolio as a busy investor. Let me know in the chat how you're finding everything. So Matt's going to come back and do some Q&A very soon. So if you've got questions, keep putting them forward. Steve got some great questions there. So we'll have some tax questions we can answer very, very soon. Is everyone finding this valuable? Are you excited for this next part around how to grow your portfolio as a busy investor? we'll get my slides up there. How's everyone finding it? Let me know in the chat. Give me a little yes if things have been helpful, things have been insightful. As we're heading into the back end of this cycle, it's about getting prepared for, ultimately when the time is to take profits, not being reactionary. That's where things go wrong. So, Mike, great info. Chad, so far, awesome. That's great. Brilliant. People are enjoying the content so far, which is great. We actually have 615 in the live event, which is absolutely awesome. Ben says, great. Russell, great session. Troy, helpful. Awesome. Clint, yes. Fantastic. Already a huge amount of calls. Yeah, actually, not sure how people even realize, but we've also already had a call booked in already for our platinum services, our Kim's, which is awesome. Mike, great. Renee, great. Haywood, love it. Fantastic. Jim's good. Awesome. Shannon's at the gym, so let's kill it. Love it, mate. Get those legs pumping as we finalize this last session. This is my bread and butter. This is what I absolutely love helping people out with. Is how to grow your portfolio and take profits when you're a busy investor. Jira's on the edge of his seat, taking notes. Absolutely epic. David, great session. Jim, awesome. I'm really excited to get into this session, folks. And then I'm going to share with those exclusive bonuses on how we can actually help work with you and help you coach you through this and actually build these strategies and the sell strategy and get your portfolio in order to save you time, fast track these results, and really get you going for the remainder of this bull market. So let's jump into it. What we're going to cover today on my part, the 7-step strategy process. This is the process to help you grow your portfolio, get the strategy right, get the portfolio right, what assets to include, and that exit strategy, which is awesome. I want to talk about why most portfolios fail, like the exact framework that serious investors are using to scale your crypto portfolio and why most people stuff this up, and the strategy behind one of my recent investments that did a 10x on Syrup and how we're positioning for the next altcoin rotation. So I'm going to share with you how I actually found these investments because I'm investing myself. This is what we do. We invest ourselves and share this data back to our clients. Troy found me on Instagram. That's awesome. Eric loves the diversity of the team. Seems like really different knowledge everyone is bringing to them. 100%. At the end of the day, guys, like we are using the team to help us invest ourselves, right? So we can make more money in crypto investing ourselves. We share that back to our clients. They make money. And then the money we make from the business, we can buy more crypto. That's why we do what we do. So it works really well. Steven, appreciate the content. Fantastic. Okay. So my strategy short term, ultimately, I think about two different assets in crypto, two different assets, right? You've got Bitcoin, you've got altcoins. Bitcoin is that long-term wealth creation that I use to grow my overall wealth. And I'm in altcoins as a leverage position to outperform Bitcoin. So I'm using altcoins to make sure I am accumulating and building up my wealth faster than Bitcoin. If you're in altcoins that are not outperforming Bitcoin, I definitely question why you're holding them. And I have cash to deploy to the market, right? I'm selling down my altcoins as the market increases, move that into Bitcoin, all right? And also using it to diversify into things like property and stocks and etc. All right. So I'm always active in my altcoin positions. I use the shift list and the research team to help me to allocate right, in terms of what my portfolio looks like. Because the space is moving so fast. Narratives change and altcoins change. So the main altcoin strategy that I'm using at the moment, outside of Bitcoin, we are focusing on layer ones. Matt and Simon spoke about this, but ultimately layer ones is where we're investing in quite heavily. So these are like the App Store. Think about getting in on the App Store before those apps are built. The likes of Ethereum, Solana, Sui. You've also got DeFi. So DeFi, I think, is a big underrated sector that I've made a lot of money on. I think DeFi for me, I'm a big fundamental investor. I like to invest into projects that have good fundamental, revenue and actually generating revenue back to the protocol. DeFi is a great one. These DeFi projects and assets that actually have revenue generates income even when you're in a bear market. All right, because when Bitcoin goes down 30%, most altcoins will go down 70%. All right, and if you're just holding speculative assets, you need to understand that a lot of those are going to go down even further. All right. And that's where those meme coins and AI plays come in. Yes, you can make a great return, but the risk is really high. All right. And if you're not in the right assets and you're not in the right time, it can really impact the downwards period of your portfolio. Now, there's also some other, larger assets. If you think about the 2017 projects, you've got the likes of XRP, Cardano. I think these assets will perform well in a retail market. They've got huge sort of impact on the community. The only thing I see with some of these assets that are a little bit older, and honestly, most altcoins is they have really poor token economics. All right, something like XRP, for example, the downside of XRP is the amount of tokens that they create into supply. All right, so they literally are printing new tokens every single day, millions of tokens. All right. That is the opposite of why we all got into Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a limited supply asset. All right. It preserves your wealth because of its limited, asset in nature. But a lot of these altcoins literally print new tokens, which means you need so much more demand to keep the token going up. All right. And that's the problem with some of these altcoins. Solana does the same. You need to be aware of these altcoins that do that because it requires a lot more demand. And that's when there's no retail investors or limited in demand. That's when the token price stays stagnant or continues to decline. All right. So Syrup was one of my investments. This literally did 1,000%. I got in this about 5 cents, hit 55 cents, actually hit close to 70 cents. And I took profits on this not that long ago. All right. This is in the middle of a bull market. And the reason I felt Syrup was a big winner was ultimately it was a DeFi project. So it was an underrated narrative and the timing was really good. All right. So I was entering into into Syrup when the credit collapse happened, when BlockFi was going down, Celsius, FTX, for those of you around this period of time, it was crazy world in crypto. Everything was going down. And yet Syrup actually made it through that. All right. It had the narrative. All right. I thought institutions were going to use this DeFi project. It was actually generating revenue. Believe it or not, this project actually does something to the world. It actually has a product that people use. And you've got to remember that your altcoins are essentially just, at the end of the day, they are just startups, right? That have products and they have a team, they have revenue, and they need to generate growth for the project. Otherwise, it's going to die. And so many of these projects can't even create an actual product to use. All right. Syrup had real fundamentals. It had a macro tailwind. Its TVL, so the amount of money that's been deposited into the project, is up towards 3.5 billion, right? Close to BlackRock. And it had, and also a lot of its competitors were left in the dust. And I had high conviction. When you are trying to invest into altcoins, so many people have this spray and pray approach where they just throw $1,000 in a bunch of different stuff and hope for the best. The days of getting 5, 10, 15x really easily is not there anymore. Right. If you're going to invest in altcoins, you do need to go into, you need to ensure that like you're going in with size. And if the positioning isn't there, that's where, ultimately you can't get back to, the levels that you want to. So that's one of the biggest reasons why Syrup was a 10x opportunity. Another investment that I recently took profits on was a MemeFi project. Again, think of like the Aave for memes. It was a high risk investment. It was a low cap. Did really well. I'm still invested in this, took profits on it. And again, had the narrative, had conviction, but you need to be in early before the narrative really hits. All right. So the sectors I really enjoy, and one of the, like sort of layer ones from an app store level is like Solana. Solana is a really good layer one blockchain. We got in this at $22. I think it's still, from an adoption metric standpoint, is one of the best in terms of the emerging L1s. And I also love the presence that it has in Washington and over in DC via the Solana Policy Institute. Like they've got some really good connections over in the US. It was also the go-to venue for meme coins and speculation, in the previous sort of meme coin cycle the last couple of years. Solana is a faster blockchain as well to the likes of Ethereum. And I think Solana is going to be really, having a huge potential over the next few years as that sort of competitor to Ethereum. Sui, which the boys spoke about. Again, next-gen layer one blockchains, I think from a UI and UX perspective, it's great for gaming. Really easy to sign up to these wallets. You can literally log in with your Google account or Facebook account. Really quality layer one project. TVL is growing. Really excited about Sui. I added this to my portfolio just before. It was just under $2. Again, having these fundamental insights of what's coming up in the space can really help you understand when to get in. And also, from a fundamental perspective, this is where you can invest before they have bigger announcements. And Sui had a big announcement. I think it was for Disney at the time. And that's where, we really got some good growth on Sui, which was great. And Hyperliquid, which the guys spoke about as well. Generating revenue. I really like projects that generate revenue from protocols. But the majority, these fees come out of the protocol and then are bought back, which is really cool. Just around, okay, so my terminology of printing, not necessarily printing the US print cash, but yes, the total supply no more will be created, but the amount of tokens that come out of escrow that go into the supply is large. Like the amount of tokens that are in supply now versus what's in escrow and what's to come is a lot. I don't have the percentage off the top of my head, but my point being is, I'm not just pointing out XRP. A lot of these altcoins do it. My point being is when these tokens have supply that is still increasing, you just need a lot more demand to get back to previous levels. All right. So that's just something just to be aware of. All right. So the hidden sector, which I spoke about, DeFi, that's where I think there's a lot of undervalued areas of altcoins, whether it be, Aave, Uniswap, Syrup as an example. In the US, the regulatory oversight has been so heavy on some of these projects, which has not allowed these tokens to really shine. And that's where my strategies really updated recently. And strategies update based on the space. I went pretty heavy on the gaming sector last year. I thought gaming and layer 2s were going to be a really big winner. But it didn't happen. All right. I invested in a couple of projects. I was actually down 20, 30% on a couple of tokens. We definitely don't get them 100% right. No one does. And if anyone's telling you they get 100% right, they're most likely lying to you. We rotated out of those gaming projects and then went into the likes of these new layer ones like Hype and Sui. All right. And a perfect example, I took a 30% loss on one of the gaming projects, rotated into, and I shared that with our members, rotated into Hype, and Hype ended up doing up 280%. Right. So I took a 30% loss to rotate it in. What most people do is just hope and pray that their altcoins are going to come back. And that's just not reality for a lot. And I did this when I first started, just hoping on altcoins is not a strategy. And that's where you really need to understand rotating into those new assets and new strategies is important to make up the movements of the space when it happens so fast. So my strategy long-term is ultimately about building my long-term wealth creation through Bitcoin and using cash flow from crypto to build my property stack and generate income. All right. My goals and targets is to, ultimately stack my profits from altcoins and build my wealth. That's where really that long-term wealth creation play comes in. Crypto is a great way to grow your wealth, but it doesn't generate cash flow. Cash flow, you need to have some, things like property or stock to generate cash flow. People think passive income is easy through staking crypto. You can stake crypto. You can use different DeFi things, but ultimately you're earning a yield or the return in that volatile asset. All right. So if you've staked Ethereum, for example, for the last 4 years, well, you've earned a bunch of Ethereum, but Ethereum's gone down. It's hard to live off when those assets are going down. Yeah. Thanks, JS. Good explanation. Appreciate it. Hype. Yeah. A lot of these different assets, like Hype as an example, is a competitor to a lot of the major exchanges. So it's not available on a lot of those big exchanges. Now, my strategy long-term, the way I think about wealth creation is Bitcoin is for capital growth. All right. Yes, altcoins are here, but they're only for a limited time. You need to think about growing your wealth through Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I believe, is going to be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars in the future. So I'm using altcoins to grow, sell that, and to grow my Bitcoin allocation. All right. That's where I think it's going to be. I think Bitcoin's one of the best assets it is the best asset on the planet. And then use property to generate cash flow. That's where I can start to get, quality income coming from my property and stock portfolio to generate cash. And starting to diversify and being able to use that is a solid way to generate income. You can, as I said, do it through crypto, but it's super risky. And ultimately, a lot of these things don't play out. People try and get into trading groups and AI bots and all these sorts of things. It's just not reality. All right. You need passive, stable income to retire on or reinvest. You cannot rely on these crazy AI bots to generate those passive income. Grow your crypto wealth, grow your investments, and then move it over into cash flow generating assets to actually get that income. All right. Now, when you're thinking about what levels to get to retirement, or whether you really want to reduce the amount of time you're at work or your career, there's three main goals that I help our clients work towards. There's three distinct wealth paradigms. The first level of goals is to get to 1 million in security. Right, 1 million in liquid investable assets is where wealth begins to provide financial freedom away from stress. Your core needs are starting to be met and allows for the reduction of debts. If you have $1 million in a liquid investment portfolio and you're aiming for 10% returns, you're earning $100,000 a year. All right, you're close to being able to retire, not retire, but supplement your income or take some time off work, depending on your family and how much income you need. All right, but 1 million is sort of the first security layer. The second one is trying to get to 3 to 6 million. This is where your lifestyle enhancements start to come in. This is when I started to really see, when I got to this level, wealth starting to really fund greater comfort. You're flying business class. You're staying in nicer hotels. You can pay off debts easier. Maybe your credit card's paid off. Maybe you're living in a nicer home. All right. You're investing a little bit greater. Your lifestyle is increasing. That's that $3 to $6 million level. Now, the ultimate goal for a lot of you, and especially when you're trying to get to retirement level, is the abundance and identity. That's when you get to 10 million plus. Once you're at 10 million plus in investable assets, this is where your financial freedom is no longer in question. At 10 million in investable assets, at 10%, you're earning $1 million a year. All right. And essentially, you don't necessarily need to work anymore. But now it's more about, what I want to be doing with my time, fulfillment, wealth creation, time, impact on the world. That's the the period in time where you can start to think a little bit more about what you want to do day to day versus focusing on just trying to earn income. So to get to that $10 million level, that is sort of the ultimate goal to get to ultimate financial freedom. Now, how do you get there? All right, there's three main ways to grow your crypto portfolio. Right, one is the most obvious, and the way that I was able to get from starting with nothing to where I am today is you buy more crypto. Right, you need to find income to generate to actually build and grow your crypto stack. Once you've got this, it's about automated buying and compounding that growth and finding additional capital, whether it's from your business, your career, an additional income level, whatever it is, and automate those buys and accumulate your crypto stack. That's really important. Now, where you can really start to compound it is really playing the cycles, all right? Playing the Bitcoin and crypto cycles when you can start to compound these assets, getting in and out of the right assets. As I said, Syrup's done a 10x. I took profits on that and was able to now buy my first property for my parents, all right? Using those altcoins, you can get a lot more growth on your assets to then rotate back into different investments or Bitcoin, depending on where you're at. However, you need to be selective. If you're not doing this right, if you're not timing it right, you end up with a bunch of altcoins, you don't sell down, and now you're down a lot, all right? And I know a lot of you have round-tripped and maybe not aware of getting in and out at the right time. You can grow your crypto through timing the cycles, but you can also stuff it up and you can make it even worse depending on when you get in and out. And this is the big part about the research and getting in being so important. Now, last but not least is timing those buys and sells. So buying and accumulating at the right times is really important, all right? And there's been a lot of examples where I've seen people try and time the market and get in and get out and really stuffed it up, and not taking profits at the right time can also, really have a huge impact on your portfolio. By taking profits at the right time, you can accumulate stable coins and then reinvest in the bear market. Ben, people talk to me, ask me, Ben, like, what's the plan in the bear market? Well, the bear market is where we have cash that we've taken from profits and then reinvest back in the best investments in the bear market. All right. So timing buys and sells is really important to grow over cycle to cycle. So accumulate more through cash, using the cycles to compound, and then timing the buys and sells is really important. Is this all making sense so far? I'm about to walk you through the 7-step strategy process now. So I might get the team just to drop the link in the chat to get everyone ready for this. This is the 7-step strategy process that we've worked on personally over the last 9 years. I've used this to make personally millions of dollars in crypto. We work with all of our clients on this, and I want to help you all understand and implement this 7-step strategy process on your own. Chad says, yes, this is all making sense to people. Jira's good. Ashwan, yep, cool. Everyone's enjoying it. Okay, this is all making sense. Fantastic. So we've just dropped the link in the chat. This is the 7-step strategy process, all right? You can download this or you can fill out online, print it out, whatever you want. This is where the strategy makes all the difference. Kieran invested at the absolute worst time. He was down a lot, and he's up 2.5x since working on this strategy, right? I helped Kieran build this strategy. He's a busy dad. He's traveling, and this strategy component, we're really able to bring everything together. He was trying to do it all alone. Same with Chris. Didn't have a sell strategy, and we allowed him to sell Bitcoin at the top and paid off his house, and now he's living debt-free, all right? So number one step is, what does your current portfolio look like, all right? Understand where your assets are and simplify it. So many people have assets everywhere, different exchanges, different wallets. Understand and simplify it, all right? You need to try and bring it together. If you're busy, having different wallets and different things everywhere makes things really, really difficult to sell at the right time. List it out. You can use our dashboard if you need and bring it in, because that's where you need to understand the different sectors, all right? Understand your portfolio, and that's where you can start to use things like the dashboard to actually understand and look at what your portfolio may look like and the different breakdown points. And that's where, I'm wondering if I can share my screen really quickly here. If that will work, Josh. Yeah. So on your dashboard, when you, if you end up using like a portfolio tracker, you can use different things. You can start to not only look at the assets you have, but also the sectors. And this is important because a lot of people don't realize they're over allocated in T-file. They don't have any layer 1 exposure. They don't have any Bitcoin exposure. Looking at the category breakdown is really important. So bringing everything together and getting a good overview starts to help you on the portfolio allocation side. All right. Now, the next part is the time horizon. How quickly do you intend to achieve your goals? All right. That is going to help you understand what is the appropriate amount of capital you need to invest to achieve your goals and what risk you're willing to take. All right. A lot of people don't think about risk to reward. This is about that portfolio structure piece. And it's what we always invest and think about on the shift list, which is around understanding the risk to reward framework. If you're spending a lot of risk trying to get an asset that maybe not have that reward profile, that's where it's a bit off balance. So understanding the risk you're taking and ensuring the reward is there is really important. right? So portfolio structure is all about risk to reward, because if you're putting too much risk, you're betting everything on the fact that something will pay off and it may not, and that's where the results really don't play out. All right. So portfolio structure is really important. I like to have, depending on your risk appetite, different percentages. It's something I can work with you. Again, I'll share how I can do that at the end. But when you're thinking about that structuring piece, tax is also really, really important. And yeah, Jeremy, tax strategy is really important. We do tax sessions in our membership program. All right. It's something that's really, really important. And we work through understanding the different tax structuring options, because it's different for different states. If you're in the US, it's different in different countries. So we have tax partners and tax professionals that come in and help you understand what the best structures are available to help you optimize the tax, because we know everyone pays a lot in tax, and we want to try and help you be more tax efficient, and using tax efficient structures to help you invest. All right, whether it be company structure, different registration, different licensing, things like that. We bring on those experts and help you actually get one-on-one sessions as well with tax experts to get the right structuring, because it can save you a lot of money if you get it right. Chad, a healthy mix of exposure to different sectors. Yeah, I like to have, I currently have about 70% exposure to Bitcoin, 60 to 70%. Layer ones, I have about 20%. And then I've got it's probably a little bit less actually. Bitcoin's probably 65%, layer one's 15%, DeFi about 10%. And then I have AI and memes for the remainder. But it's different for different people, all right? Depending on your overall allocation to crypto, depending on your goals, it'll change. And it'll also changes throughout the year, all right? We're starting to see Ethereum start to outperform Bitcoin, which is starting to lead the altcoins outperforming Bitcoin, right? So as altcoins outperform, your altcoin allocation will increase. So it's about rebalancing, ensuring that you get that right. But for me, like a balanced portfolio, it does include at least 50% Bitcoin in your portfolio. Now, the next, to your point, Chad, around your portfolio allocation, understanding your risk tolerance is really important, all right? If you underestimate your risks associated with crypto, you're going to overestimate the returns. And also, when you're not understanding risk management appropriately, a lot of you will probably feel that gut wrenching feeling when the market drops. All right, understanding your risk tolerance is important, because if you don't have this dialed in, that's when you can start to make emotional decisions. It comes back to what Travis said. You start to get fearful of losses and you start to make poor decisions. All right, so risk tolerance is really, really important. Now, what is your buy strategy? This was an update I made back in April. The market retraced. Like Solana was $90, XRP was down, Bitcoin was down, Ethereum was down. Eric, hopefully you were buying when Solana dipped back in April. I actually posted about when I was accumulating a lot of crypto during that period. Having the right buy strategy allows you to buy and accumulate assets at the right time. And that's when you can get a lot more exposure to the market and you can get a lot more assets, right? If you buy at the right time. So we were accumulating a lot of assets on that WhatsApp post. That's where I shared exactly what I did, right? And Bill is one of our clients that is a platinum client. He's a big property investor. He's a busy dad, not full-time in crypto by any stretch. He bought Trump at $9 after it was mentioned in our platinum chat on the road to our event in Melbourne in Australia. He sold at $63 and his profit was above $120,000. Like, he nearly paid for 10 years of his collective shift fee from just that one buy piece. All right. And that's because he had a higher risk strategy. I spoke to him. Bill's already made a lot of money outside of crypto. He had a higher risk strategy. So he was able to allocate a bit more to these high risk plays. Now, obviously, don't get them all right. But when you have that component of those high risk investments, that's where you can take advantage of that. All right. Now, your sell strategy, we just covered that with Matt and Simon. Not only did, for example, Bill buy those assets, but he also sold out. All right. Having that buy and sell strategy is important. Very easy to buy, far harder to sell. Okay. Now, what do you do when you're time poor? When you're time poor and you're busy, don't chase narratives. All right. Don't chase the latest, greatest thing. Like, hold assets for a longer period of time. Like, Eric, you've got say 90% in Solana. Holding is going to be your best strategy there, right? Putting that into a long-term trade. Don't stuffing around and chasing different things. When you're busy, it can be very hard to get in and out of different narratives. All right. When cash becomes available, you can add to your positions. But the more you trade, the more you get in and out, the more risk you take and the harder it is to stay on top of things. James, talking about 150% wrong about all trading bots. Some very bad bots out there, but I know 100% returns from her bot. It's all working. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't necessarily agree with that. Depending, I've never seen one bot that's actually been a consistent winner. Potentially, you've got insider access, but my whole point here, James, is more about if, for example, these bots are as good as what they say they are, why would anyone sell that to retail investors? Why wouldn't they just put more of their own money in, right? So I've seen a lot of people lose a lot of money. I've seen people win for a period of time and then they go take their money out and then realize it's more or less a Ponzi scheme and they can't get their money out. All right. So I don't know what you're talking about, James. Maybe you're in something that, is really good. And I haven't seen it. I don't want to disagree with you there, but I'm just saying on average, most of them, a lot of people get sucked into because they sell the dream of quitting your 9 to 5 and using an AI bot. It's just not reality, in my opinion. Never seen it work for a longer than a few month period. Kent, as an example, off the back of being busy, he's been a member with us for the last 2 years, and talk about he was trying to do it all alone, lacked the knowledge and the confidence, but being able to come on to us and work on his portfolio and have that plan and strategy, allowed him to make over $50,000 in a week, which is really cool, just by getting that strategy and that exit plan right. All right. Now, considerations if you have a lot of money invested in crypto. We primarily work with clients that have at least $100,000 in crypto, but ultimately where our sweet spot is in those hundreds of thousands of dollar range. All right. The big considerations for all of you, all right, I want you to take note of these because this is experience shares for me as I've grown my portfolio. Number one is using over-the-counter trading. It's going to save you a bunch of time and money. If you're just using a normal exchange, even Coinbase, for example, like it's quality, but you need to utilize their institutional features and OTC because you're going to get hit with 2-3% spreads and fees on most exchanges. And if you're trading hundreds of thousands of dollars, you can get caught up and spend a lot of money on fees. You've also got brokerages that can help. Having accountability and alerts is important. A lot of you are very time poor and busy. So having those alerts and messages to come through when it's time to take profits is important. Having the strategy, not only short-term and long-term. So stacking, I'm accumulating Bitcoin always, right? That's my long-term stack. But from a short-term perspective, I'm using altcoins to leverage up and build my long-term stack. So you can look at your portfolio at short-term and long-term. There's also other things we're looking at now in lending where you can actually use Bitcoin as an asset to lend against. That's really exciting. Obviously, that's how the wealth is created when you're looking at other assets outside of crypto. Now you're starting to be able to do that with Bitcoin, which is really exciting. That's how the wealthier get wealthier. You can lend against your assets without paying a lot of tax, depending on what jurisdiction you're in. So lending is really important. Building those long-term larger goals, all right? Getting that to that 1 million range, 5 million range, 10 million range, as I just spoke about. That should be your on-chain, off-chain goal, whether it's using USDC and earning a yield, whether it's in stocks, whatever it might be. Tax and structuring, that's something we help with. We give you the right partners and insights. Obviously, we have our experience shares, but depending on where you're located around the world, we put you in touch with the right partners to get you the right tax and structuring because that's going to save you a lot of money. Risk to reward, when you're growing your capital and growing your wealth, you don't need to take as much risk. So having that right wealth preservation strategies and adjusting that over time is important. So you're not rolling all of your capital into altcoins and then drawing down 70%. Sell strategy, again, something that I'm going to share with you very soon on how we can help you with that, on how to actually create your sell strategy and how to take it step by step and have those alerts and accountability. Automating it as much as possible, compounding that automation is really important, and also focusing on Bitcoin and other assets, which is really cool. All right. Now, that is primarily the most important parts of the 7-step process. I've covered a lot. I haven't been able to go into all of it, but ultimately so far, what we've gone through has been the really key things, right? How to build a clear, simple strategic portfolio strategy, how those 4 proven exit strategies serious investors operate, how to avoid round tripping all that money and changing life-changing profits, the mindset of how serious investors actually think versus small players, and then how to deploy larger capital safely using the OTC lending, tax structures, etc. Is that all making sense so far? Let me know, Ben. Ben, not kissing ass, but this is actually one of the best, most live interactive sessions I've had regarding investments. Well done to you and the team. I'll be looking you guys up with the links you provide, I'm sure. Amazing. Thank you, Ben. That's awesome. How's everyone else finding it? Let me know if this is helpful so far. Everyone's learning some stuff. If you just walked away today and you're like, got to go, see you later, bye, you're going to walk away with so much insights and education, honestly. And again, this whole goal of these masterclasses is to show you all the insights and education. So you go, wow, these guys actually know what they're talking about. And then in a second, I'm about to show you some really cool things that we can actually take this to a whole new level. We've covered about 2% of what actually we can help you with. And I'm about to share that with you all today. And honestly, for all of you that are on the call today, we have some really, really cool exclusive bonuses that I want to share with you all, which is exciting. So Ben, I appreciate that. James, I love your teachings. I know what you mean and have excellent teachings. Thank you. Clint, yes. Hayward, yes. Jira, brilliant. Renee, great. Chad, very strong information. Brilliant. Okay, cool. So a few questions. So like, do you feel more confident with your strategy and portfolio? Like, give me a yes in the chat if you're feeling a bit more confident. Give me a yes if you've felt at this point the content so far has been good. Mike, been in crypto since 2017. You guys really seem like the real deal in a sea of amateurs. Mate, totally agree. Most people are just full of shit in this space. David, is there a way to get the replay? Yeah, we'll have a very limited time replay after this. Hit me a yes though if you're actually pumped up and excited to see what you can do with these results. Give me a yes. Feeling more confident. Renee, yes. Russ would love to chat. Fantastic. We have a very, very limited spots that we're going to share with you how that can work in a second. Mitch, yes. Clint, yes. Good contact. Amazing. Okay, cool. Shannon, good, but don't have 100K in crypto. Yeah, that's fine. We work with people that want to get to that point as well, so that's great. Mike, yes. Alan, amazing, yes. Hell yes, brilliant. Cool. Okay, Alex, yes. Brilliant, amazing. So this is the hard truth, folks, right? Today was super powerful. We've gone through a lot, but information won't change your life. You guys know that, all right? You're not stupid. You're here for a reason. Strategy without implementation is wasted potential, right? And clarity without action is missed opportunity. Bridging the gap between all this information we just mentioned today and how this actually means for you in a personal situation is a huge gap. All right, this is what most influencers, you consume the content. What does it mean to you? What psychologists say, within 48 hours, you're going to forget most of what you're taught today. All right, you'll forget most of what we taught, most of the results. In a couple of weeks, you probably forgot who the hell we are, and you may not even remember you were even on this masterclass. All right, and maybe a lot of you took notes, and hopefully you did because we've got those resources and PDFs. It's great to take notes. I always take notes, but guess what? Let's all be honest. Do we actually look back? No, they end up at the notes graveyard. They've forgotten about out the back, scrunched up. Who knows where they end up? All right. And all the momentum is going to be lost. Crypto is moving faster than ever. We know a lot of you know that. All right. Crypto is pumping. The space does not wait. And after you leave today's session, the market's not going to pause. New narratives change. They emerge. Coins are going to pump. Coins are going to go down. Sentiment will change. And if you're not ready, you're going to get left behind. I know this because I spent $200,000 on my team trying to stay on top of everything. All right. The reality is we cannot cover everything today. We've covered about 2%. Honestly, 2% we've covered today. There's simply way too much to know, and the time is limited, and the market always changes. All right. We know you are busier than ever. We know you got a career, your business, your life, your family, whatever you got going on. Let's not joke around. All right. You got two choices. One is, like most conferences, all this information is static. You take the information, you leave. Crypto is the opposite of static. It trades 24/7. Investments are not static. You can try and do this alone, all right? And you're going to honestly be far further ahead than where you were from where you first started with this information. But within days or weeks, something's going to change. The content will be outdated, and you're going to stuff it up. And this is when bad things happen, and this is how most people stuff it up on a round trip, all right? The other option is something we know works. It's something where you get real-time information, updated consistently 24/7, one where your investment strategy evolves around the market, where you actually get direct access to guidance, support, and information to help. All right, what if we did this together? All right, and this is the team and I. What if we actually, all of us, and there's most of the people weren't even on today's session, what if all of us actually played an active role in your results and took responsibility for your success, all right? Actually felt an obligation to you winning. What if we actually stacked the deck in your favor, gave you everything we knew, my 9 years of experience, our $200,000 a month team, all the content, the 98% we didn't cover, all the shortcuts, the fast track, the support systems, all the mistakes we've made, everything, the data, our 1,000 clients that we work with, knowing all their mistakes, feeding that back to you to go deeper than we've ever gone before. Do you think that that would give yourself the biggest chance of success? All right. And basically make your success inevitable. That is the product that we are so proud that we've built over the last 5 years, which is our Platinum membership. What on earth is the Platinum membership? The Platinum membership gives you an elite level access to personalized strategy, professional research from the team and I, high touch investor support all year round. Think of it as a mix of your crypto coach, your crypto research desk, a mastermind community, outsourced done for you investment insights, personal brokerage style alerts, all right? And everything I wish I had when I first started. Now, as I mentioned at the start, right back at the start, I didn't come from money. I come from a small town in Australia, no degree, no connections, parents, still rent. I shared a bunk with my brother and I went all in on crypto and turned it into 7 figures when I was 19 and nearly lost it all 8 years ago. All right. And I built it all back up using the processes and systems that we teach now. It's not about me being special. It's about the processes and systems. All right. Right. That's sounding good. Amazing. Great. Cool. Well, what made the difference? What made the difference for me being able to do this? It's when I made the first big investment into our research team, who gave me literally no other option but to succeed. And that gives me my edge. All right. And I have made a lot of money in crypto. All right. I don't actually need much more money anymore. Right. I'm pretty close to retiring. All right. But what I do now is spend a lot of that money back into my team to help me give them best possible insights to then share back to our clients. And that fast-tracked my way to success. Once I brought an amazing team, brought Matt, Simon, Travis, our amazing team, had the right team in my corner, I avoided all the big mistakes again, and my portfolio exploded, all right? And that's where I'm very grateful to become a multimillionaire by 24, and now I can help my family out. Now I can help my team out, our clients, myself, and we wanted to extend that gift to others, right? Now, if we were, this is my thought process. What if I could actually share this research, the same research that I use myself, the tools and strategies, knowing that pretty much everyone else on the internet that puts out crypto content, all right, just puts out awful stuff that they just want you to sign up to their affiliate link. And we only get paid on our success, all right? Can you see how that's a win-win? When we win, you win, all right? That's the only way this works. No bullshit, no shills, one shared goal to help you grow your crypto, exit at the right time, make a bunch of money, and we win together. No one has done this in crypto. Why not? Because that actually means we have to be good at what we do. All right. Because if we're not, this business doesn't work. And that is why it's more important than ever. If you are managing a crypto portfolio or you're trying to put in money into crypto and you're doing it alone, you are in significant trouble. All right. You've probably got a mortgage broker, like a property broker. You've got a financial advisor. You've got a brokerage person at your bank. You've got an accountant. You've got a doctor. You probably have a personal trainer. You've got a business coach. You've got teachers for everything. But for crypto, you've got some bloke you follow on YouTube, all right, that doesn't care about you. They just want you to click his links and watch his videos so he can get paid. That is what Platinum solves. Now, who's it for? This is not for everyone. In fact, it's probably not going to be for a lot of you. We're very selective on who we work, all right? Duncan, how do we define success? I'll talk about that very, very shortly. Mike, the morning star of crypto. That's what we're trying to build, man. We're trying to build the most trusted crypto brand in the world and build the morning star of crypto. All right. I'll talk about the success in a second, Duncan, so it's very clear. The Platinum program is perfect for you if you have $100,000 in crypto currently or equivalent if you're looking to put into crypto. All right. So if you have $100,000 or more in crypto right now, or you're looking to put more than $100,000 into crypto, this is for you. If you have less than that, the Platinum is not for you. All right. If you're not looking to put more than $100,000 in, it is not for you. All right. If you've round trip profits before, all right, or you don't want to round trip this bull market, this is for you. If you're busy juggling a career, family, business, or life, and you need that fast track success, this is for you. If you value being surrounded by a high caliber, serious investor community around the world, particularly in the US, this is for you. All right. And if you're a long-term investor and looking at crypto as a balanced investment play, not a high risk gamble, this is for you. If you are here to make a 10x overnight and just get our latest meme coin and try and, make a bunch of money by tomorrow, and you want to be a pain in the ass and you want to just, be rude and you just want to gamble, this is not for you. All right. Do not apply to join the group. We do not accept everyone. Everyone is vetted. All right. If you're not ready to take action or be coached, do not apply. And if you're not serious about making long-term wealth in crypto, also do not apply. In fact, if you do, we'll just cancel it anyway, because we can see when you applied to book a call. All right. This is why we create a Platinum. What you get a one-on-one strategy session with our client success manager. All right. And he's going to set you up with a personalized process to get you to the fast-tracked success as fast as possible. All right. This is not a course. This is a personalized program. 11 monthly group calls. All right. With our Platinum team, a video call every single month, a Platinum private WhatsApp community, 24/7 crypto support via WhatsApp from myself and our research team, direct alerts from myself and our team when we're buying and selling and buying new projects, a dedicated account manager, and their full research platform access to see all of our tokens and insights. Now, we're going to share the link in a second, but before we do that, to make it super clear, to keep the quality of the group high, you need to jump on a call with us first to see if it's a good fit. You are 100% welcome to apply, but there's no guarantee you'll be invited to join. In fact, we're very selective. It hasn't always been like this, all right? But now we're very fortunate in position to pick and choose who we work with. because the money doesn't make a lot of difference for us anymore. All right. It does if we do amazing work with few people, but we cannot work one-on-one with thousands and thousands of people. We only want to work with people we know are truly a good fit for the group, and we know we can help them with their success. All right. So we have clients around the world. US is now launching in the US. We have our event, which I'll share in a second, and the bonuses you guys are going to have access to. We have a lot of clients in the US, and a lot of our events are now coming up in Miami. So I'm actually flying over very soon, and we're going to start to build up our in-person events, which I'll share in a second in the US. Now, what do you get? So the first thing you're going to do, if you are approved as a member, you get a one-on-one client success call. All right. You get a personalized session with your dedicated client success manager to give all the things you need as a platinum member to get the experience that you need help on the most. You walk away with a done-for-you plan on the exact steps to take next. That will be booked in as soon as you sign up. You have the ability to book in a call, one call, total clarity, and they are your account manager for your entire membership experience. Jason was down 80%, and he's now up 2.5x from having that personalized strategy session. All right. A busy dad was trying to do it on his own. We didn't have the confidence, and he round tripped. He's been in crypto since 2017, and now he's up 80% since up 2.5x since working with us. Every single month, all right, at 3 p.m., I think it's 3 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, we have our monthly platinum forum calls, 9 a.m. Australian time. You skip the noise, avoid the common mistakes. We share with you for 90 minutes the updates, the investment strategies, market updates, and have a Q&A section with all of our analysts with a video call. It's a video call on. Ron is one of our clients. He talks about how it's a game changer. He saves so much time and stress by just being able to follow the team strategy, and tuning in each month saves his time to level up the results. You get access to our private WhatsApp community for fast moving alpha. This is where you get access to all the investors, the daily insights, the coins we're looking at, the strategic moves. I make updates in here daily, as well as our team. This is where Bill made $120,000 from a project from what we shared, and guided him through the process to exit and lock in profits. Bill is a busy property investor with 3 kids, and his wife is traveling around, does not have the right time. Right? He made $120,000, paid off nearly 10 years of his membership. You get 24/7 access to our team. All right. We have a team around the world that if you need questions answered around your portfolio, a new coin, a market shift, direct access to me and the team. These are real humans, real analysts. You'll never be stuck wondering what the right thing to do is. All right. And Brady, again, another busy guy, married, got kids. He always gets a fast, helpful response from real people, not bots or influencers. Whether it's a strategy check, market question, he always gets the help that he needs. And that's the platinum difference. You get all the direct alerts from me. So whenever I buy something, recently I bought, a new token, delivered live, all the updates whenever I sell. So you don't have to sit in front of the charts all day. And then you can ask us questions off the back of that. So you can outsource all of that decision-making with someone and a team with a track record and stay ahead of the market. All right. And that was, back in the metaverse when we're taking out those sell strategies. Here's a screenshot of my bank account. I mentioned that at the start. I don't need to go through that again. Kent is one of our platinum clients. Again, you can watch all these success stories in the link we'll share in a second. But he talks about knowing what and when to sell is everything. That clarity changed the game. And for Kent, timing exits is the hardest part, but now it's handled with clarity and conviction. You get your own dedicated account manager, so your own crypto concierge, a personal contact inside our team to help you with onboarding, introduction to tax, exchanges, any support you need, you message us and we'll get back to you with your dedicated account manager. They're there to help you make sure you get all the value out of the membership. All right. This is the shortcut, so you don't need to look online and follow influence anymore. Everything in the group. We actually helped a recent platinum client save $13,000 off a couple of transactions just by moving them to a better exchange for a personal introduction. Remember, we don't do affiliate links. We don't do referral deals. These are personal introductions to give you the best insights and the best services to get you and saving you a lot more money. Full access to the research platform, the tools that actually help, all of our investor dashboard, the token ratings, the reports, the research, the community, everything you need to make sure you don't round trip and get all the opportunities. Liz, is in her retirement with her husband. She's not a crypto person. She invests under retirement, and she uses the platform every week to cut through the noise and help her stay ahead. She recently traveled to Europe using crypto profits with her and her husband because of the way she was able to take profits that we set up with her. All right, really, really cool. So there's only very, very limited spots. I'll get the team to add the link in the chat. Here's everything you get as a platinum member, all right? The one-on-one strategy session with the client success, 11 monthly group calls, the platinum WhatsApp, direct access, direct alerts for me to dedicated account manager. Now, we have some very exclusive bonuses only for all of you on this call. The standard price is $15,000. We do not discount that because of the amount of volume. But I'm going to share with you some very, very exclusive offerings that you're all going to get access to if you book a call and if you are approved. The way this works is on that link, you'll schedule a call to see if it's a good fit. Reese, who you saw at the start, he is our member growth lead. He is going to understand if you're a good fit for the group or not, all right? In 30 minutes or less, we'll understand your situation, your goals, and see if Platinum is a good fit. You go over to that link, you go down the bottom, you book a call. You need to put in the details about yourself, all right? How much you're looking to invest or how much you have in crypto, what your goals are, your challenges are, and that's going to help to see if you're a good fit for the group, all right? Ultimately, what we're looking for is people that are coachable, people that are not in it just for making, moon Lambos and the watches. That is not us. We're here to help you really grow wealth, all right? And ultimately, on that call, see if it's a good fit. Now, we have a launch offer for the next 7 days. This is exclusive to all of you that are on the call today because of our launch of our Miami Mastermind. Now, for those of you that are in the US, our in-person strategy day is now coming up in Miami in October, all right? To announce the launch of this, if you book a call and are approved for Platinum, you're going to get an extra special exclusive set of bonuses that I'm about to share with you to celebrate the launch of our US launch and our upcoming Miami day. So if you've loved what you've seen so far, we've actually saved the best to last. So these aren't gimmicks, it's genuine perks of real value, all right? So I'm going to talk through everything that's included on top of what's normally on offer that you're only going to get access to here, all right? Now, we have a number of clients already in the US, folks. The team is 24/7, all right? So we look at not only Australia, this is crypto. So we ultimately, all the sessions are 3 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and then we have in-person sessions in the US as well. All right. So number one, there's limited spots for this. You are also going to get access to the in-person strategy day workshop in October, on October 24th in Miami. All right. The team will have a full day of strategy workshops, top speakers, unbeatable agenda, private networking. You're going to walk away with a clear portfolio strategy. And we do these twice a year, right? Twice in the US, twice in Australia. Limited spots. The team and I are in person. We get to meet all the other US Platinum clients in person in Miami. It's going to be absolutely epic. I'm not sure if we can play this video, but this is just a brief little look of, we had the session literally a few days ago in Melbourne. This is what you can see. We had 130 of our Australian clients that came in person. We came together, we did in-person workshops, strategy, we had coaching, you get to meet the other clients, we had tax specialists, there's Simon, we talked about the market, all right, we're talking about all sorts of different things, and we have breakout rooms for different events, so you can actually start to get really specific on the things that you need help with, and this is what we're now bringing to the US, which we're really excited to launch. So we already have about 15 clients in the US, all coming to the Miami event, and then we have some very limited spots, obviously, for what's going to happen in that day. So there's now what's happening twice a year in Australia is all happening in the US. So we have 2 more sessions for the remainder of this year. If you're in the US, we have the session in Miami. And then if you're in Australia, we have the session in Sydney in November. So we have limited spots in the Sydney event as well. So no matter if you're in the US or Australia, you will be walked through that on your call with Reese. Awesome. Now we're already seeing a bunch of calls coming in. Aziz, welcome, mate. Shane, Mitchell, Akeem, Zach, Ali, fantastic guys. Now that's the bonus number 1. Bonus number 2, we also have the end of year Platinum private party ticket. Again, we have the Platinum party ticket for Miami. This is going to be on October 24th after the strategy day. We have a private Platinum party, rooftop party, which is going to be absolutely epic. You can also bring a guest to this, which is going to be phenomenal. And then if you are in Australia, we have the Platinum Party Day in November, which is going to be epic. We're looking at nearly 300 or 400 clients will come to the event in Sydney in November, which would be awesome. Be loads of people in Miami as well, which is going to be great. Looking forward to seeing you all there if you are looking to join. So this is both the Strategy Day and the Platinum Party on the same day, October 24th in Miami and in November in Sydney. The next bonus you're going to get an additional 11 monthly pro workshops. So we have a lower tier. This is where we also do pro member workshops every month. So you get access to an additional 11 sessions of market analysis, portfolio coaching. I usually am paid $3,500 per session. You're going to get all that completely for free. Exclusive member discounts and personal introductions to all of our best exchanges, tax structuring, everything. All right. All the shift list token ratings, which I just mentioned, that's how we caught Sierra, Pendle, Solana at $22, Sui at $2, all of that into the research platform. And the most important and the best bonus, I think, because I absolutely love working with clients, on top of everything, I do not do this outside of the Platinum program, is I'm also going to add, for a limited time, an additional one-on-one strategy call with me, only in this offer. So I used to charge $5,000 for one-on-ones. It's not available outside of Platinum. I'm going to have a 30-minute session with you, private one-on-one, after your client success call, after you get everything in order, to sit down with you and help you with your strategy, your portfolio, everything you need to get the most success out of the not only the membership, but out of your portfolio as well. All right. And this is for a very limited time. I love doing these one-on-ones because I can learn a lot about you. I can share my experiences and make sure you're getting a lot of value from all of my experience of growing my portfolio internationally, which is really cool. All right. So awesome work to see all these calls coming in already. Absolutely epic. Some of this like feedback and some of the insights and testimonials, like Kieran invested at the absolute worst time, was down a lot, up 2.5x since working with me on that strategy session. Chris, which I spoke about before, worked on his strategy to help him pay off his house. Alex is a Platinum member. He talks about if you have a large crypto portfolio and a busy life, he definitely recommend reaching out to Ben and the team. It's not cheap, but losing money from mistakes is far more painful. Indigo, she doubled her portfolio after having that sort of meaning connections and saving her time after jumping on board with Collective Shift. So you're going to get all those additional bonuses on top of the normal everyday Platinum program. So the one-on-one session with Ben, the in-person strategy workshops, the end of year party and your guests both in Australia and the US, bonus coaching calls, the 11 monthly workshops, everything in there absolutely for free if you are within the next 7 days and approved. Loads of calls coming in as well, which is absolutely awesome. Yeah, so your fee can be paid either for, if you just need to check your account, but most people can book it through your SMSF or retirement. The $15,000 is the yearly price for the first year, and then there's a few options for the second year. All right, and it is $15,000 US dollars. All right, Clint, awesome, just jumped on a call. Ali, fantastic. Zach, brilliant. So here's everything you get. All right, so the one-on-one strategy with me, in-person strategy workshops, coaching call, end of year Platinum party tickets, 11 monthly group calls, all the discounts and introductions, if approved within the next 7 days. What you need to do is jump over and book a call. Spots are very limited. Again, it's more about just understanding if it's a good fit. You can ask questions. Reese will see if it's a good fit for us and a good fit for you. And that will help us decide whether or not the program is a good fit. You're going to also ask us questions. Now, there was a question just before about the success piece. We have a 30-day, no questions asked, money back guarantee. All right. We take all the risk on this because we want you to know that we put our money where our mouth is. So for whatever reason, within the first 30 days, we have a no questions asked, money back policy. All right. There's nothing, no weird sort of T's and C's about this. We take the risk because we want you to know how serious we are about the results. So you pay the money. If it's not for you, we give you your money back. There's no other way we make money. We've just lost a bunch of time, a bunch of money trying to help you out. We lose. All right. We do that because we want you to know how serious we are about this service and the offering. All right. The other benefits are it's tax deductible for most people. So speak to your accountant. So yes, a lot of people can do it through their retirement funds and SMSF. You just need to check that. All right. This can be paid personally, potentially through a company. We can invoice depending on what you need from a tax efficiency standpoint. You plug directly into the system that's already, we're at 180 Platinum clients around the world, a lot in Australia, a lot in the US, a lot in Dubai. There's no lock-in periods, refund guarantee if it's not for you. All right. Now, for most people, you get a tax deduction as well. So if you have a $250,000 portfolio, all right, at a 40% tax deduction on your membership, you're only looking at 3.6% fee of your portfolio. If you think we can make you more than 3.6% back on your membership, all right, on your portfolio, then we're winning. All right. $500,000 portfolio, you're looking at 1.8%, $1 million portfolio, looking at 0.9%. Most funds will charge you 20% on the upside and 2% every year. If you think we can make you more than that, you're ahead. All right. That's our ultimate goal. Now, we can't obviously promise to do that, but that's our ultimate goal. And if we don't do that, well, no one's winning. All right. Again, Kent made $50,000 a week in a week. Again, this is not necessarily going to come and make $50,000 in a week. That's not my point. But he talks about he's been in and been a member for 2 years to build the confidence and build the help to help him with his investing. All right. Now, why are we doing these bonuses and limited time offer? All right. If we can't keep up with demand, why are we doing this? All right. We've just increased pricing. So this is 15,000 US dollars. All right. We are offering these things because the bull market is in full gear. All right. We are now launching a range of additional offerings for our US clients, which is super exciting because we've had a lot of US clients for a long time. And now we've got that Miami strategy day. We want you to have the ability to fast track the onboarding process too. Because we have limited spots, we've opened up the team's calendar to allow you to fast track in, get your session booked in with our client success team, get your sessions booked in so we can help you get results faster. Once these are filled, it usually goes back to about a 3-month waiting list. All right. Now, so there's already a lot of questions coming in. You can pay with crypto, you can pay with credit card, whatever you prefer. Crypto is nice for a lot. There's no percentage of profits. It's just a straight flat fee. You can pay in stable coins. You can do whatever. All right. Ultimately, we try and just get you the easiest way to jump in. All right. Welcome. Russell's booking a call. Jai, welcome. Rod, welcome. Clint, welcome. Ali, Zach, Akeem, fantastic guys. Lots of calls rolling in, which is awesome. Now, some of you are thinking, have you missed the boat already? I've heard this same thing every year since 2017. All right. Every year people ask if they heard that, have they missed the boat? What most people don't realize is that 99% of the world still do not understand crypto. Right? Bitcoin is hitting all-time highs. The market's moving, but adoption is still so low. All right. The upside isn't gone. It's shifting. All right. Ben's been with us for nearly 3 years now. He talks about how we are his crypto bullshit filter. All right. Robert Kiyosaki says that business investing is a team sport. All right. And he has chosen Collective Shift to be a part of his team. Genuine humans providing real research and guidance for the Wild West. Stop following in influencers and be amongst those who are truly stoked in this space. So this is a real cost, all right, of getting it right versus guessing. Using YouTube influencers, going to take you 4 or 5 hours a week. Probably lose a bunch of money because you're following poor advice. It's inconsistent. It's hype driven. You do it on your own. Probably going to take you 15 hours a week. All right. And annual cost, you're going to make mistakes. All right. I did this when I first started. It's hard. Depends on luck. You can use all the tools and analytics on your own again, but data without direction is getting you nowhere. Or the platinum service is where you only need about an hour a week, saving you money based on the investment, and it's real results with that money back guarantee. All right. Chris Judd, he uses Collective Shift so he doesn't miss out on things that happen, the impact on his assets class. Daily, he runs a fund. All right. If you're not ready, we understand, and you want to come back later. Most people say this, all right? This is exactly what everyone says year after year after year. The only time you think you need it is when it's too late. The people that truly win are those that get prepared before, all right? And that's why we're trying to educate you now so we can get you prepared so you don't think about it when it's too late, all right? Your portfolio is not going to magically fix itself, all right? You don't wait for the storm to pass before you build the shelter. You build it first or you lose everything. Ryan talks about he was doing his investing on his own. Again, you can watch his success story over on the page. He talks about, think about what you can make when you do an exit, a successful sell strategy versus the price of a membership. All right. If you've got hundreds of thousands of dollars in your crypto, even if you've got 100,000, all right, trying to do this on your own versus having a team to help you time the exit would be multiples worth more. All right. Trying to do it alone is very difficult. He joined Platinum. He followed the sell strategy, found the group of people that were similar to do things alongside. All right. And that's what made all the difference. No, Robert Kiyosaki is not a Platinum member. Talking about how Robert Kiyosaki talks about having a coach and how helpful that is. All right. And that's where we come in. All right. And yes, you can pay with crypto on stable coins. Now, another question you might have is like, well, you've got $15,000. What if I invest that into the market instead? Well, sure. But what is that $15,000 going to get you? All right. Another 5K, maybe another 15 if you time it perfectly. But if your portfolio is in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, this is a flat fee to help you protect the downside and maximize the upside. All right. Platinum helps you lock in the gains and not watch them evaporate when your entire portfolio goes up. All right. It's a fee to help you with your assets as it grows. This is not apples and oranges. This is a multiple thing that we want to make sure we're getting a huge return on for you. Even back years ago, all right, we helped our clients get out of FTX before FTX blew up. Right? Because we have no affiliation with exchanges. There's no affiliate links. There's no paid promotion. We helped our clients save 7 figures from the FTX collapse of 2022. All right. Gene talks about how we helped him with the collective shift team, following his advice, and very glad he's done it, worth every penny of the membership. Anthony, back in 2022, spoke about a big thanks to myself and the team for warning him to get assets off FTX. There's things you don't even know yet that may be happening that you're going to save money on. All right. We literally saved these guys 7 figures by getting their money out of exchanges. That's what we're here to do and help you. All right. So you've got 2 choices. You can continue doing it alone, right? Hoping this time will be different, or you can follow a proven system that actually works. You've seen the results, you've seen the proof, and this is your fork in the road. All right. This is your chance. Grant just signed up for our second year. We've got 2 different options on the second year. All right. Talking about how helpful it's been, putting the money where his mouth is, and watch and listen to many people, and the info and support that Ben and the team gives is second to none. Right, hang in there. Right, people, it is very worth it. So if you're not a yes, that's absolutely okay. It's a conversation. It's not a payment page. It's a chat. You're going to jump over to this page here. I'll just share my screen so you can see this. All right, this is where you can see all of the platinum stuff I just spoke about. All right. All the features and insights that I shared is over on this page, right? You can book in a call. This is who it's for. This is all the features I just spoke about, all right? And all the exclusive bonuses, the one-on-one you get with me, the one-on-one strategy session with Client Success Manager, the annual Platinum in-person strategy day in Miami, all right? If you're in Australia, we've got the one in November in Sydney, all right? The Platinum Party ticket that's happening after the Miami day and in Sydney, the bonus group coaching call, the monthly sessions, the shift list, the introductions, all the success stories I've spoken about. There's so many here, all of the trust pilot, right? And then you can book in a call to see if it's a good fit. You're going to click that link. It'll go over to a calendar. This is where you just need to put in how much you're looking to invest to make sure it's a good fit. Put in if you're ready to go or not. All right. And then you're going to start to find a time that's a good fit for you. All right. And this is where you'll book in a session. We've got some limited spots over the next 7 days. Book in a time that works for you. Right, and then fill this out and then book in your session. All right, that's where you'll jump on a call with Reese or one of our member growth team. All right, and we're going to see if it's a good fit for the group. Now, I'll just back up my presentation because I want to answer some questions. Matt's about to come back on and do some Q&A. But again, so many of our clients have been with us for multiple years. This is where we get the best results. All right, Jaden, third bull market, bag profits every bull run and make life-changing amounts of money. And remember, the risk is on us. If you're accepted and you sign up, we take the risk. We literally give your money back, all right, by a 30-day money-back guarantee. And to be completely transparent, last month we had close to 50, 55 platinum clients sign up. We had 2 refunds, all right? One, he was very rude to our team, and he was not a good fit for the group. He made his way through the application process. Somehow he kind of lied through and got through. We removed him, gave him his money back, right? And the other person, he couldn't invest under his company, all right? And so he didn't feel as though it was a good point in time. That was the only 2 refunds, I believe. Was it Alice? That was that was it. There we go. 2 out of 50, 55. All right. The reason I say that is because it does happen, but the risk is on us. If you're not satisfied and for whatever reason it's not for you, just contact us to give your money back. I don't want you to be in the group if you don't find it valuable. Like, money's not going to make the difference. 0 risk. That it's 100% upside. It's all on us. Awesome, Tom. Good to have you. Booked a call from the US. Amazing. Bill, Dougal, Eric, Jamie. Oh, they're all rolling in. That's absolutely awesome. All right. Eric booking a call. Awesome. Fantastic. Yeah, we've literally, Eric, if that's probably a mistake then on our end, you might be able to get through at that rate, mate. Jump on because we literally updated the price a week ago. So I'm sure if you're nice to Reese, maybe we'll offer the Aussie dollar, the pricing. The reason we've increased pricing though, folks, is because of the demand and the results we're getting, right? Peter talks about it's a perfect service for any investor who wants hands-on tailored advice, right? Talks about helping him tailor a plan to maximize his chance of success in a chaotic world is so important. So a reminder, everything you get: one-on-one strategy session with a client success manager, 11 monthly group calls, all right? That is 9 a.m. Australian time, 3 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time every month. You get the replays if you can't join live, the Platinum WhatsApp community, 24/7 access to the team and I, direct alerts from me and the team, dedicated account manager, full research platform access, plus all the bonuses. The one-on-one call with me, again, I don't know if I'll do this after this after this month. So book in. You get a session with me. The in-person strategy workshop in Miami on October 24th. There's limited spots. All right. And we have the November event in Sydney. The end of year platinum party ticket, one-on-one group coaching call, an additional 11 monthly group sessions if you want, discounted sections, and it's all fast track, folks. So you get a personalized session. That client success call, we sit down with you, we map out your goals, map out where you want to go, and we walk through step by step how to get the most out of your portfolio. All right. So schedule a call, see if it's a good fit. There's so many calls coming in. If you have net worth in excess of 100,000, 70% is held in assets. That is fine. Yeah, you can still book a call, Oscar. If you've got more than $100,000 in net worth, that's okay. I think over time you'll probably build that up to over 100,000. That's okay. So you can put in over 100,000 and be qualified. It's just if you have less than $100,000, it's just not a good fit for the group. 30-day money back guarantee. It's all there, ready when you are. Matt, I will bring you up to do some Q&A to get back to the questions. And thank you for everyone that's booking a call. So many calls flying in, which is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, plenty of calls being booked. I can see. Amazing.
Yeah. Awesome. So, welcome, Chip. Chip's just booked a call too. Awesome. So, folks, let's get to some Q&A. Put your questions in the chat. It could be about the membership, it could be about crypto. Please let us know in the chat. And Eric, thanks for letting us know. It still says Aussie dollars. We'll be updating that now. Thank you. That was a typo. Again, it's been Aussie dollars up until the end of last month. Now updated the USD. Thank you, Reese. Cool. Any questions? Please fire away in the chat. There's been a few as in the starred section.
Yeah, we did cover these earlier. In terms of how long's left in the bull market, yeah, that's a golden question in many ways. It's a floating target that we sort of emphasize, strong opinions loosely held in a market like crypto. It's important to be dynamic, have a price target, have a rough date where you think the bull market will top. I've often been saying towards the end of this year, I feel like can be a scenario where we top, but I'm also have one eye on the possibility that it gets drawn out into next year. I think there's several factors in 2026 to look forward to that could really, extend this bull market, which would take its duration beyond what has historically been the average. Patterns are there, but patterns can always be broken in crypto. As we've said, it's a very new asset class that more or less coincides, its performance coincides with movements in global liquidity and other macro factors. So I think it's likely towards the end of this year, but I'm keeping one eye on us entering 2026. So some of those factors into 2026, the reason why I could see it prolonging is just this continued regulatory sort of tailwinds for crypto, resulting in more institutional adoption, more demand for ETF, which just is sort of a transferal of people taking profits, but then you've got new money coming in. Yes, that happens in every bull market, but I think the buyers of crypto these days are a lot more likely to hold for the longer term. Yes, there'll be people who just take profits immediately, but that certainly has been a very noticeable change. Other things in 2026, there will obviously be, at this stage, looking like continued rate cuts in the US and elsewhere. So yes, how much does the market price in now versus what happens in the future? That's always a very big balance there, Luke. But ultimately, I think there are, if I'm wrong about my prediction that the bull market sort of ends towards the end of this year, I very much am of the belief that I will be wrong because I was, maybe too early compared to today. So as part of the membership, you'll be getting our updated thoughts on and our personal investment decisions, of course, when we are looking to sell, as I said earlier. So be on the lookout for that. But a lot happening at the moment in macro and crypto and in the geopolitical landscape as well, that can really affect, when this bull market ends.
Awesome, Matt. Just quickly, so it looks like Reese's member growth lead is calendar's nearly full. feel free to book those out. Welcome everyone that's booking calls. There's been lots. Shannon, Troy, Benjamin, Josiah, Simon, Jira. Awesome folks. The other thing as well, if you do have less than 100,000, we do have another membership that is currently on wait list. So we will be opening that up relatively soon. What you can do, you can book a call here and just say that you've got less than $100,000 you're looking to invest, and you'll be put on a backlog for a call in a couple of weeks for a lower tier. So that is available if that's of interest. Just make sure you put less than 100,000. Otherwise, looking forward to seeing a lot of you in Miami very soon and getting you in the group and working on our one-on-ones. For all the Australians as well, just a reminder. So November is where we have our Sydney strategy day and party. And all the access is all the same, which is really, really cool. We just have different partners in the US, obviously, for different tax and exchanges, but Reese can walk you through all of that. And from a longer term relationship, Eric, so what I would actually do, I might just quickly show you. Alice, can you share the Platinum Elevate screenshot? So essentially, folks, like what we're building here, the vision for Collective Shift is to be the morning star of crypto. And I think that was sort of mentioned before. We have multiple like journeys we can take you on. So the first year is about getting your strategy sorted, getting everything aligned so you can make the most out of your portfolio right now. What we then have on your second year is a couple of options. All right. So we have what's called Platinum Elevate and Platinum Pulse. All right. And I don't want to sort of, overdo it at the moment, but this is where a lot of our clients really love that second year journey, where you have the ability to get access to our Platinum Elevate group, right? Now, the Platinum Elevate group is a very, very exclusive group that's only available on your second year, right? It's the same cost as your first year, so $15,000. But what you also get access to is our in-person international retreat. So we're off to Bali in March with our high net worth clients, and you can only join this on your second year, where we talk not only about crypto, but wealth, health, and a range of other things. You also get access to our Platinum Elevate WhatsApp group. We're doing dinners around the US and in Australia. And also you get an extra in-person strategy day only available to Platinum Elevate clients. Now that is another application process. So once you finish your first year, if we think it's a good fit, you can welcome to apply to book a call and we'll see if you can join that group. Alternatively, you can then you can go to a Platinum Pulse. All right. Platinum Pulse is just essentially what you get in your first year. But you don't get to join the Platinum Elevate group, and that is at $7,500. So this is the Platinum Elevate journey. And ultimately, we want to work with clients who are going to work with us for a long time and not only think about their crypto, but their health, investments, and things beyond that. So to answer your question, I think that was just around Eric. Yeah, looking for a long-term relationship to invest. That is the second year option, Eric. And ultimately, one of our values is we do long-term things for long-term people. If we get an understanding that you're only here for the short term, ultimately we're just not going to let you in because, again, we don't need you. 2, it's not a good fit for the group. 3, the money's not important. And 4, like I just don't enjoy it, right? And I do this because I like doing it. All the team here at Collective Shift love what we do because we're really trying to make a global impact. And we want to make a global impact on people that we actually want to help because they're nice to us and we can reciprocate. So, the in-person events for Sydney are in November. In terms of James, again, mate, the idea that you're comparing us to a trading bot, you probably don't understand what we're really saying. It's probably not a good fit for you. So probably recommend not joining. Like just continue to use your bot because that's not what we do. We're trying to help you grow your wealth, structure, plan, strategy. And then comparing us to a bot is honestly a bit ridiculous. So I'd probably just not book a call and probably just try and find someone else that can help you. Matt, we'll go back to you.
Yeah, I would just add on to that there's a lot of differences, right? You're depositing your money, into a bot or software that someone else is operating. So you're sort of giving up a lot of trust and hoping that it all goes well. As Ben said, can work over a short amount of time, but long term, often not the case. So we find our returns are really, really great over a medium to long term in crypto, and you keep control of your money the entire time. Like you're not depositing money onto our platform. All of our insights in the WhatsApp group and all of that, you take all that in, and then you invest based off of our, in my opinion, sort of world-class insights on where the crypto market is today and certain altcoins that we think are going. So some questions here from Jire. Apologies if I mispronounced that, but you're asking here about sell strategy. Oh, sorry, I'll get this up here. Question about like narrative and utility. Yeah, something that a lot of people and investors I've spoken to over the years, they really struggle with understanding how to make gains and profit off of crypto because they're using another asset class to guide their decision making, such as property, the bond market or stocks, where the fundamentals and how that market works has been really honed after decades and decades. Crypto, very new and is very momentum driven, very fast moving. A lot of my best investments have been on the back of like really capturing it, and Ben's as well, as you said, with the metaverse narrative earlier, and myself with some DeFi plays when that was getting going. Those investments were really, really good because you're capturing that sort of information asymmetry, and you're almost placing your bets or putting your capital at risk. But I had that assumption that the market was going to catch on to this certain narrative because of the actual DeFi projects and what they were able to unlock for the industry, and the asset class was enormous. But we were able to get into that at the ground level. I hope, selfishly, like personally, like as an investor in crypto, I really hope that we're sitting here in 5 or 10 years and the asset class has matured where we can make investment decisions more so based off of, I guess, real world metrics, or metrics that are more analogous to companies in the stock market. So we're starting to get those metrics in certain sectors of the crypto market. Obviously, you can't really use one metric for a DeFi project and compare that to a gaming project, comparing that to a meme coin and Ethereum. They all have different, I guess, drivers of value. So certainly I hope that we get to that future for investing in crypto. But I think for the foreseeable future, narrative and momentum will be a huge part of driving returns for your portfolio, acknowledging that that is the case today. So we're focusing really on this bull market in particular, Jira. But yeah, I hope we can sort of transition after this bull market in years to come by identifying really undervalued projects based on fundamentals. So yeah, it's slowly evolving and maturing, but yeah, it still does shock a lot of people who have never really been in crypto what actually moves prices. Next one here. Yeah, we did answer some questions on XRP from Eduardo. Yeah, I haven't seen this sort of narrative going around to get your XRP off of cold storage into a hot wallet. Yeah, I would be very cautious of anyone sort of peddling that message. If you are very interested, you can obviously, of course, maybe question them about like what are their reasons for that. But I cannot think over my years in crypto of any example where investors or holders have really had to, withdraw from cold storage immediately. There just isn't really any reason I could think of where that would be a necessary action to take. Ultimately, they're in your custody, and you're entitled to move them based at your own discretion. So yeah, I'd always be cautious of anyone urging and creating a sense of urgency and panic around moving your cryptocurrency, whether it's XRP or anything else.
Manny, I just we've probably got time for one or two more questions, mate. I just wanted to quickly just again, well done to everyone booking calls. Reese is looking forward to catching up with you, everyone. Ben, Troy, Shannon, Ben again, lots of Bens. That's great. Tony, Andre, Brad. Welcome, guys. Looking forward to catching up. I think there was a question just around. It's just having to run the next meeting. Thanks, Benjamin, for joining. Looking forward to catching up. And Eric, we might include that and maybe one other question, Matt, just because we've kind of gone over a little bit. But if we don't get to your questions as well, folks, again, something we do in our membership is we have our weekly Q&A, so you can ask us questions and get some support. But yeah, Matty, we might answer one or two more questions, mate.
Yeah, from Lee here. This is like, we get this question most days, to be honest, like people asking about fees and spreads, like which exchange is the best to use. Again, it really depends on your convenience versus cost, really. So some of the most convenient exchanges to use are also the highest cost. If you're someone who, no one's happy to pay fees, but if you don't really care about paying 1 or 2%, there's heaps of very easy ways to buy and sell crypto. We generally don't advise that. We often encourage people to, have a look around, but acknowledge that you'll never get a perfect price, right? In exchanges, like in crypto, the exchange fees are generally a lot higher than stock markets and whatnot. So you can expect to pay at least 50 basis points, per trade, up to 100 basis points, per trade. OTC generally is in between 50 and 100 basis points. But then there's also those hidden fees that a lot of exchanges take. So if they mark on their marketing, if they go 0% or 0.1% is their marketing, that'll be like a transaction or service fee essentially. But they will then take a lot of the fees like on the spreads. So really between 50 basis points and 100 basis points, I often say is a really solid range. And you often I would not recommend going over 1% or 100 basis points. If someone's asking you to pay that, it's often, really not a great rate to pay.
Eric, do you have tools for platinum members like Premium Trading View or Coinly for portfolio management? So we have some discounts for different services. We actually, we bring all that research back into the platform, Eric. So we use Trading View, we do the data and the insights, then we share those synthesized research back to you. So you get not just the data, but you get the strategy and the analysis on the other side. Specifically speaking, do you get like a premium membership on TradingView? No, but we use TradingView and different tools that we utilize to share those insights and research back to you, if that makes sense. Cool. One more question, Matt. I just want to shout out Adrian. I only have 45K in crypto, but the knowledge I picked up from these sessions has been immense. Thank you, Adrian. That's awesome, mate. Glad you got a lot out of it. Matt, do you want to pick maybe one more question?
Yeah. Eric here, like a latest crypto buy. One of the team, like myself and even Simon, have done quite well on is Hyperliquid. So again, like the reasons for that were various. I think just myself, the reason I got excited about Hyperliquid is that I knew that the market was still misunderstanding Hyperliquid. So essentially it makes a lot of fees off perps trading perpetuals. It's one of the biggest revenue generators in the space already. It's only been around for 1 to 2 years. So several reasons why I liked it. The sell side didn't really have anything to worry about because token unlocks for Hyperliquid don't really kick in until December. And even then, the allocation of the team is nothing really too severe. Other reasons included upcoming catalysts. So Hyperliquid at the time was expanding into a competitor of Solana and Ethereum. So essentially its total addressable market was rapidly set to expand once it launched its Hyper EVM, and essentially a smart contract blockchain that competes with the likes of Solana. So it had upcoming catalysts, which is a massive part of crypto investing, particularly if it's just on a sort of multi-month or multi-quarter sort of time frame. Hyperliquid I also liked because of the revenue generating. So it not only did it generate a lot of revenue, which a lot of projects do, but it also had that second main ingredient, which is actually buying back the token off the open market. So a lot of projects either do one of those two things. So some of them will say, hey, we buy back some of our fees from the open market, but it'll actually be like a very minimal dollar amount because they don't generate that much in revenue. Hyperliquid was a perfect blend of the two, where even now they're still buying back between 2 million and $3 million worth of hype tokens from the open market every single day. That is just absolutely blown out of like an explosive lead compared to any other sort of crypto project. So that consistent buying pressure was yet another reason why I am still continuing to like Hyperliquid as a buy at these prices personally, and it's one I'm considering even adding to my position at the moment, because I still think, even though it's run up a lot, I still am not afraid to get in at it at these levels, because it still has a lot of upcoming catalysts.
Brilliant. Thank you, Matt. Eric, yeah, hopefully Reese can get back to you. I'm just looking at his calendar. It's pretty absolutely jam-packed. Welcome everyone that's booking calls. Looking forward to seeing everyone. If you get approved from Reese, it's going to be great to hopefully work with you. You can adjust your time. By the way, those that are actually get approved and paid, signed up the fastest, they are obviously prioritized in our onboarding process. So there is limited spots for calendar appointments, sessions with me, events, etc. We prioritize those, obviously, that join first. You can book a call within these 7 days and get access to bonuses, but it's not until you pay, approved, and are signed up that you start the onboarding process. And there are limited spots based on where we're at. So if you want to move your time forward, you can go to your emails and there's a reschedule button. There is pretty limited times. There's been a lot of calls come through, but yeah, feel free to do that if you want to reschedule. Potentially the rescheduling may already be booked out depending on where we're at in time. So looking forward to seeing everyone. Sophie, welcome. Jamal, Alex, Heidi, Brad, Andre, fantastic guys. Really looking forward to catching up. Matt, another great session as always. Thank you, mate. Really appreciate it. Exciting to get back into the charts, and look forward to welcoming a range of new platinum clients on board, both in the US and in Australia. And yeah, it's going to be a fun next few months in the market. So looking forward to those calls. Welcome everyone that's jumped on a call. Thank you everyone that joined. Hopefully you got a lot out of that. And at the end of the day, if you don't become a member, if you're not approved, we honestly just want you guys to have as much insights, research, and education as you can to avoid the crazy stuff that's been put out online on crypto. It's the absolute Wild West. Make sure you listen to good sources. You can follow, if you want some more free information in the interim, you can follow myself on YouTube. So I put out a lot of content on YouTube. Just search Ben Simpson on YouTube, and I put out a lot of content there. Also on Instagram, you can follow me at Ben Simpson on Instagram, and then also over on Twitter, you can follow Matt and the team over there, where they put out some free content as well. But ultimately, yeah, all the best stuff is in the platform. If you do have less than $200,000 less than $100,000, you can book in a call, and you'll be put on a wait list for the lower tier. But we might wrap it up there. Thank you, Matt.
Oh, good. Thanks everyone, and see you all in the member platform and WhatsApp group, hopefully, and in Miami, of course.
In Miami, be fun. Awesome. Thanks, guys.